Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me, again, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Grumpy, how are you, my friend?
Excellent. Thank you.
Are you excellent because of the outstanding performance in win by the New York Islanders today? Is that what it is, Grump?
Well, I won't say outstanding performance, but what I will say is I am extremely happy that Pittsburgh has Tristan Jarry in goal. That's all I'll say.
I'll tell you. There's definitely a lot of takeaways from the game. And we had talked about this leading up to the series, what playoff matchup will be best for the Islanders. Again, as many fans and listeners there, the podcast astutely pointed out, hey, Tristan Jarry is relatively untested when it comes to the playoff waters. And we knew this was going to be a battle of would Tristan Jarry's uncertainty outweigh the unbelievable play that Sidney Crosby manages to consistently have against the Islanders. And in game one, the inconsistency and the lack and inability to be able to save a shot, high glove side seems to be the bugaboo there for Tristan Jarry so far.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I hadn't watched enough of their games to really focus in on him. He was a godsend for us tonight. That's all I have to say. I mean, I tell you, it's funny how the goaltenders worked out today. Varlamov's not ready to go. I didn't think as much of a loss, honestly. And I'm going to tell you what, Sorokin, if Sorokin wasn't in that today with Varlamov, we still lose that game today. He made some saves doing the splits and just with his athleticism that Varlamov can't make. So I think it was a coming out party for him today.
Yeah, it was. I mean, both goalies kept the Islanders in the game.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Jarry's inability to make saves at time and to come up when it was needed there of him, and Sorokin made some outstanding saves there that really kept us in the game. So both goalies played a huge part for the Islanders' success here today. Before we jump too much into the podcast and live stream, we do have an ad there to read from DraftKings. It's playoff time, big stakes, bigger promotions, and everyday basketball playoffs. DraftKings will have around $20,000 up for total prizes up for grabs. The best part is it's free to get your shot at a daily cash prizes. DraftKings will be offering two free to play play pools every day for NBA playoffs, offering players a free shot at $20,000 in total prizes. DraftKings free to play pools are easy to enter. Just download the DraftKings app and go to pools to choose from a variety of free contests for an opportunity to win cash prizes. All you have to do is answer a handful of questions around what you think is going to happen during the day's basketball games and track your results throughout the evening. Questions will range from which team will hit the most threes to which team will score first. And DraftKings is a safe and secure and reliable, so you can go ahead and deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Make sure to download the top-rated DraftKings app now and use the promo code THPN when you sign up to get your free shot at $20,000 in total prizes every day at the basketball playoffs. Head to DraftKings Pools page and get your shot at a huge cash prizes. Use the promo code THPN for a limited time only at DraftKings.com. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for further details. Grumpy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I know, Grump. I butchered the ad read, but the words, I don't know. I didn't like the way it was written. What can I say?
Did they put the words in a foreign language and you have to decipher them before saying them? Honestly, I stopped paying attention to you butcher the ads. I mean,
so you know what it is? They go ahead and they write it in a foreign language, and every time what you hear there is me deciphering and translating the words in my head and reading them in English. So maybe if they could start sending those in English, I'd have a more easy time delivering a clearer message.
You sound like Pepper Brooks from Dodgeball. That is exactly what I said. You just reworded it and said the same exact thing.
I thought you were about to say it sounded like Butch Goring trying to pronounce opposing teams' names. I was oh, goodness gracious, grumpy old man. Well, Islanders win game one. And that will be the storyline of game one is Kyle Palmieri. The sleeping giant, the sleeping lumberjack makes his emergence there for the Islanders, scores 2 goals. And albeit, the game-winning goal in overtime for the Islanders today.
I thought Kyle Palmieri played extremely well today. Best he's ever played for the Islanders, honestly. But let's be honest, he benefited from Tristan Jarry being in net. I as well as we played at times, and I tell you, a couple of takeaways that I had in particular, when we scored, our game took a big jump, and it seemed like Pittsburgh kind of was on their heels. And it could be because of the variety, the way the goals were scored. I mean, I would think if you're giving up weak goal after weak goal, there's got to be a letdown every time you give up a goal like that, because they carried the play, honestly, through the first two periods for certain. Then we scored, in the third, and like I said, he was just horrific in net today. I don't know how to say it. I mean, he was terrible. And you wonder how that affects the psyche of Pittsburgh going forward. If I knew Jarry was going to play this bad, there you go, right there. 3 stars in the game.
Happened. This is the official, unofficial top 3 stars there for the Islanders today. Tristan Jarry, number 1, 2, and 3 star for the New York Islanders today. So a big thank you and a round of applause to Tristan Jarry for keeping the Islanders in the game today and helping them secure this victory in overtime. Again, you could definitely argue, hey, the OT goal was definitely a pretty one there by Kyle Palmieri. Yeah, maybe Jarry could have done a better job there, hugging the post. But in the same token, the first 3 goals were hideous. That was it was a great snipe, that overtime winning goal there by Kyle Palmieri. But man, oh man, if you are a Penguin fan, you have to be left scratching your head and nervously worrying because the team looked good. Tristan Jarry just looked hideous.
Yeah, and how does that affect the team when you're afraid every puck that's being shot on net, particularly, not even high danger chances. Routine saves are going in. Now, I thought he was good when he was tested in high danger and where he just had to react. But I mean, gosh, every single, and even the last one, he wasn't anywhere near the post. I mean, it was a nice shot by Palmieri getting up top, but gosh, he just could have slid along the bottom of the ice because he was 2 foot off the post along the bottom. He was horrific today. I'm sorry. And now you got to say, gosh, what does Mike Sullivan do for next game? Do you roll this guy back out? I mean, Manny Legacy is their backup. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if I realized that Jarry was this bad, I would have definitely picked the Islanders in less than 11 games for certain.
Less than 11 games?
Yes, certain.
Oh, okay. What do you mean less than 11 games?
I didn't think they were going to win the series. So I say Islanders in 11, like we win 4 out of 11. You understand?
Oh, okay. Got you, Grumpy Old Man. It was a little convoluted, but I understand now.
Thanks.
I'll tell you. It just seems that up towards the toy department there on the glove side, he had really struggled today, and that seems to be the bugaboo. That seems to be the MO. And what's really bad when the broadcasting crew, again, because they don't want to go ahead and tear anybody, they don't want to go ahead and say poor play. In the playoffs, they want to point out, where players are really separating themselves from the rest of the pack, and they say this player's moment of brilliance is the reason why they scored a goal. And instead of them, pointing out that was an absolute howitzer, that was an unbelievable play shot there by Show, that was an unbelievable, release there by Kyle Palmieri. When the talking points in the narrative are, wow, that was a shot, from quite some distance that Jarry would want to have back and would want to make the save on. And it's resounding. AJ Malesko, everybody up there in the booth is saying the same exact thing. That is a save that Jarry would want to have back. Very, very fortuitous for the Islanders. I'm happy that he struggled mightily today. And you're right. Who knows what, Mike Sullivan is thinking here going into game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we got better. I thought for the third period, particularly after the Pajot goal, I thought we carried the action. I thought they looked just shook and rattled. Then Nelson scores another goal that he should have stopped. They come back 30-some-odd seconds later, and I'm going to blame that. Scott Mayfield backed off of Kapanen and gave him that shot. I mean, you got to be more aggressive getting up on him there. But we carried the play. And I'm telling you what, when we went to overtime, I knew we were winning. I had no doubt in my mind we were going to win in overtime. None.
Really?
Goaltenders win in overtime. And our goaltending advantage is so monstrous in this series. I don't think I can understate that. I really don't.
So, grumpy old man, you're going in after game one. You say, hey, Islanders have a legitimate shot to win here this series. Is that correct? Is that what I'm understanding here now, Grump?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. I didn't realize Jari was that. I mean, here's the thing. They scouted him well. Like I said, I've not watched enough of his games this year to tell you. I mean, they played the same time as the Islanders. That's the one disadvantage to having playing all in your division every night. They all play the same time. They're usually playing the same night, and I don't have time to watch all the other teams in the division as well as Islander games. And I just didn't realize how maybe he's been like that all year, but my gosh, they've done their scouting report on him, high glove side. He's terrible. The shots don't even have to be good.
And again, the shots, they were well placed. They didn't have unbelievable pace behind it or anything like that, but there were shots there with good pace on them, and they were well placed. It just seems like it just froze Jari. And again, like it just
no
took
screen
to react.
He wasn't even screened. I mean, I love our chances now. I absolutely love our chances. Really do.
And we've talked about it beforehand, right? The Islanders, I don't think in today's game came out and played a crazy style of hockey. This was Islanders style of hockey. And again, where, we were down. And the funny stat was in this game one alone, Pittsburgh had a lead longer than they had in the cumulative last playoff result we had in, I think, the 2019 or the 2018-2019 season. So I know like that was actually played during the 2020 year, the bubble and the playoffs like that. But I mean, that was the most they have led, in the last 2 years in a series against us. And I was shocked by that. Because remember last year, Grumpy Old Man, all they were able to do was just get back and tie the game. And they were always playing from behind and playing catch up.
Wasn't it 2 years ago? Not last year. Last year we played Washington and Philly.
Okay, maybe it was 2 years ago, 2018.
Yeah. And then we swept them. The year before.
2018-19. That's right.
Right.
So yeah, in the 2018-19 series, they've already had a lead longer in game one than they had in the 2018-19 series throughout all 4 games.
I thought Pittsburgh carried the play the first 2 periods. I really did. I thought that Sorokin made a number of just incredible saves that kept us in. I mean, the one that he makes, the toe save that he makes with the splits on Crosby on the power play, that's huge. That is just huge. And then he makes another one when the kid is so freaking good, it's scary. I mean, I'm glad he's people. Even you. I said I could care less if Varlamov started. I told you that today before the game. No big loss. I think the kid's better than Varlamov. He can make saves that Varlamov can't make, and he did that today. He was great. I
think the save that you're talking about is this one right here. You talk about the cat-like reflexes there of Sorokin. I mean, that's all but, all she wrote, a surefire goal there. I mean, just a redirection, and that pass has got a lot of pace behind it, and Sorokin's able to change direction there, make sure he's able to just get escape blade on it and keep the game tied. That was I mean, I'm getting goosebumps looking at saves like that.
Think about what he did on that play. When he sees the pass go backfield tag, he's coming out from the net, and he's still, as he's coming out, he's still able to somehow reach that leg back to make that save. The kid is unfreaking believable. He's everything. He is everything that we were led to believe he was and that we thought he was. He is that and more. He's fantastic. We have a star in the making, without a doubt. And I was saying that towards the end of the year, right? He proved it here in the playoffs.
Okay. I'm not going to gush over. He had an absolutely excellent game. You're not going to see. Okay, there's definitely areas where he can use improvement on. He's not perfect. He's not, he's not the next Hasek or anything like that. That being said, today, absolutely excellent game. And when I see saves like this, these are playoff series defining saves. These are saves that, as you get closer there towards the Stanley Cup Finals, you look back on and say, saves like this alters the momentum in games. You also wonder, hey, you got a guy back here, and he did allow 3 goals today. But again, I wouldn't really fault any of those as his to blame. Like with Jari in regulation, I mean, all 3 of those goals are goals he wants back. Those are goals that he should have made saves and stops on. There weren't any weakies let in there by Sorokin today, and he made some, again, outstanding saves there. I really think to prevent momentum going Pittsburgh's way.
He kept us in the game. That's all I can say. He kept us in the game in those first 2 periods, without a doubt. He was spectacular.
Yeah, Grumpy. Well, I'll tell you one thing. We'd be remiss if we don't mention it now. Kyle Palmieri, outstanding game. Grump,
Without a doubt.
here's my question for you. We jumped all over the place, and during the regular season, he was not playing well. There's no hiding that. He matches his goal total. What, he had 2 goals in the regular season, right, Grump?
Yep.
He had 2 goals in the regular season. He's matched his goal total in game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoff or the Stanley Cup playoffs. Already matched goal total there from the prior 15 or 16 games he played in the regular season.
Let's just hope that he scores more goals in the playoffs than he did in the regular season.
Yes, absolutely. And let's also talk about this. We talked about the grade of this trade, and we've talked about it for, it seems like, weeks to almost about a month, since originally Palmieri was brought to the Islanders. Obviously, we had mentioned, and this is even dating back to when he started off with a slump there in the regular season, if Palmieri is able to have an explosive postseason, then the trade pays off. There's no doubt about it. And the way Palmieri's been playing as of right now, it looks like that definitely could be the case. I'm not going to jump to conclusions after one game by saying, oh, Kyle Palmieri trade has paid off. He scored 2 goals in game 1. And then if he goes silent for the next, the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs, obviously you got to take that into effect too. But, a little help there from Yari, but he's definitely off to a start. Like he could have a very, very productive postseason, Grumpy.
Yeah, I realize I'm gushing on Kyle Palmieri. Well, okay. He played well today. Best game he's ever played for the Islanders. Without a doubt, that third line was their best line. The second best line was the second line today. But I'm going to have to see more. He had a good game, and great, because I thought he was active today. That was the most. He wasn't invisible. He was active, even when he wasn't scoring, he was involved in play. And that's the Kyle Palmieri that we were hoping we were going to see, right? Let's be honest. He's been invisible since he's come to us. And if this continues, fantastic. It bodes well for us moving forward, without a doubt.
I just want to know, Grumpy, are you feeling like, hey, I'll be remiss if I don't ask, are you feeling like he might be eating some of your words if Kyle Palmieri continues on his pace?
If he continues to score 2 goals a game through the Stanley Cup playoffs, absolutely.
Okay, here it is. Let's say, let's assume, hey, he comes off there game 1. He has this meteoric breakout, and then he's able to have an above average playoffs where he's averaging a point every other game in some capacity, and he's able to redirect there from what we saw in the regular season. Do you feel like still, depending obviously on all how far the Islanders go, that trade is warranted with a better grade?
No, unless we go really deep and he is the main contributor. I still don't like that deal, because you're trading first-round draft picks for rentals. I don't like that. I'm never going to like that unless you're right at the cusp of being a Stanley Cup winner. Then I can see doing it. I just don't feel that way with this team. I haven't. But here's the thing: I've been consistent with that from. For years. I don't flip-flop on that. You build a team through the draft, not by trading for rentals. I would have much rather trade a first-round pick for a guy who would have been here long-term.
Okay, gotcha. As you said, as always, Grump, I will tell you this.
I was going to adjust my trade from an F-, though.
What are you going to adjust it to from an F- to what, Grump?
To just a straight F.
Oh, just a straight F. He's got to continue to score 2 goals a game, and you'll bump him up half a letter grade every single time. Is that what it is, Grumpy?
There you go. And hopefully by the end of the Stanley Cup playoffs, he's at an A. See, I'm thinking.
Oh, goodness gracious. Leaving small little carrots for Kyle Palmieri. I will tell you this, looking more long-term as well, because this game right here should be reassuring for Islanders. I don't necessarily think we came out and played outstanding hockey to begin the game. I really don't. And this is where I don't want things to get confused or muddled up, because we had talked about it all towards the end of the regular season. Is this team just letting their foot off the gas? Are they going to go ahead and kick it into overdrive? Are they going to change the trajectory when they reach the playoffs? Here's the thing. I think we did bring a playoff style of hockey today. I'd be remiss if I said we didn't. That being said, Tristan Jarry, I think there's no way we lose to him. He looked hideous tonight in that. And if that's any indication on what I expect him to continue to play like, we have, I mean, the odds are in our favor.
Okay, here's what the beginning of the game, we were playing the game at their pace. That we will not beat them if we play games at their pace. I mean, we did today, and we settled down the third period and an overtime. But early on, we don't want to play a run and gun game against Pittsburgh. We need to play Islander hockey, and I feel we did that in the overtime. I thought we just slowed it down, or Pittsburgh didn't have the legs. I don't know, but whatever the case may be, that's the type of style we need to play if we're going to be, consistent winners in this playoff series. We don't want to give it where we're giving up 18 shots a period. I mean, you're just asking for trouble. I mean, Pittsburgh is a better offensive team than we are. We cannot be giving them those chances going forward. That's all I'm saying. I felt we stole today's game. I really do.
Well, I don't think we stole today's game. I think we were gifted today's game by Jarry. And here's the thing. I don't want to belittle the play out there we saw on the ice, because here's the thing, right? You put the puck on the net, things happen, especially in the playoffs. You put the puck on the net, good things happen. And what we saw today is a commitment of throwing the puck towards the net, throwing the puck high glove side, and it paid off. I don't think necessarily it was like, oh, wow, we were dominant the entire game. We had unbelievable control of the puck and, the Pittsburgh Penguins zone for extended long time periods. Our power play still looked pedestrian at best. Our penalty kills still looked excellent. So again, like, those items are pretty consistent to what we saw there in the regular season. I don't expect our playoffs to take off and rifle off again, as our friend there, Phil there, brought up there, Phil Facts. Hey, we're still rolling out there Oliver Wahlstrom and Kyle Palmieri on the same power play line, despite them needing to play relatively the same position, that trigger man spot. So, the power play leaves a lot to be desired, but those items haven't changed. And here it is, right? If Jarry is going to be shaky and inconsistent, I think we have a very big advantage against Pittsburgh in this series. And that's the big thing. If we're able to get past Pittsburgh, it looks like Boston and the Washington Capitals are going to beat the ever-living shit out of each other, and that could not make me happier.
Right? Is that what I said best case scenario was? If somehow we can beat Pittsburgh and have those two teams kill one another. I mean, and our favorite player, Tom Wilson, looked really, really good last night. You saw what he brings to the table last night.
I saw all the social media posts like, I hate it when Tom Wilson scores. It makes me so angry. Oh, I saw him all over the place, Grumpy.
Yeah, but you can't deny he was a huge influence on that game, and Ovechkin's back too. Just to let you know, he looked like he was having no issues with that lower body injury last night, without a doubt.
He was flying around, Grumpy old man, and that, you're right. That is the Ovechkin you come to know and expect there during the playoffs and during the regular season. He was flying, throwing the body around a lot, and he had that high intensity throughout, the 60 minutes there and throughout overtime.
And think about it, Craig Anderson comes in. I missed a little bit early of the game, and Vanacek got injured. Looks like lower body injury. I think he's going to be out for a while. Samsonov is right now out on COVID protocol for the second time this year.
Yes.
And I was like, Anderson? I said, Anderson? I said, please tell me that can't be Craig Anderson. Sure enough, Craig Anderson. I thought he played really, really well. I don't think Boston super tested him yesterday. I thought Washington played extremely well. They're big, they're physical, and you saw what they were about yesterday. I mean, they're a good team. They are. And if you're able to win with Anderson in goal, then they started talking about it on this podcast, on this telecast today, about how, Varlamov's not there. Maybe if Sorokin gets hurt, I'm like, why are you even saying Sorokin might get hurt? And they go on Snyder, who hasn't played a game in 14 months. It seems like 14 years. He hasn't played a game in 14 months. What if he has to come in? And I'm like, dude, stop talking about Corey Snyder. Don't put a jinx on Sorokin. I don't want to hear any jinx talk.
Well, I'll tell you this. It does. Okay. we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it either. Looks like, the possible, we just had a little tweak. We just took him out for preventative measures. Not a big deal here. If we were in the playoffs, he'd be able to play. That was over a week ago, and he still is not able to dress for the Islanders. So I can tell you one thing. It's just coach talk. A lot of times what you hear is coach talk, because it's quite obvious that Varlamov is hurt. He did go ahead and tweak his groin. He's not able to go ahead and suit up right now for the Islanders. Again, as long as Sorokin stays healthy, no issue at all continuing to roll him out there. I really thought if Varlamov was healthy, I think Varlamov would have been thrown into tonight's game without a doubt. Varlamov has struggled a little bit this year against the Penguins too, but Varlamov would have been thrown out there without a doubt. He had an unbelievable second half there of the season, like the last month and a half, gaudy numbers, video game S numbers. So he definitely would have been thrown out there tonight. You have to think that he's injured and tweaked, his groin in some capacity a little bit.
To me, and hopefully Barry's done this in the past, he rides the hot goalie. I don't see how you could put Varlamov in next game. I mean, I don't know the extent of his injury. It's certainly more serious than we were led to believe. But Sorokin's the real deal. Like I said, I'm not even concerned if he's in net. And I think I even talked about the last podcast. I don't think it matters who's in net, which either one of those two guys. But I'm telling you what, I want Sorokin more than I want Varlamov. Sorokin's able, particularly against a team like Pittsburgh, who have a lot of guys who can create, particularly down low, where that athleticism that he has helps him. It's not just about positioning with him. And you saw that today numerous times.
Yep. And I'll tell you this, synopsis of today's game, I think as a whole, the game was a gift. The first 3 goals were gifts given to us by Yari. And I've told you again, I thought it was an unbelievable snipe there by Kyle Palmieri on that last goal. I'm sure some would argue, hey, he could have been better posted up, short side. And you'll hear that sometimes you should never give a goal from that angle. I don't care how well they shoot it, blah, 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 whatever. I'll give him, that was a talented goal there by Palmieri. But the first 3 goals surrendered by Yari are goals where you're just kind of scratching your head thinking, wow, I'm nervous if I'm a Pittsburgh Penguin fan going into it. I will tell you this. We also have something provided by Frank K. Now, this is a little something different, Grump. We usually don't talk about ticket prices here on the show, but I want you to look at this, Grumpy Old Man. Can you see what Section 2, Row 3 on a third-party site is selling for Game 5 tickets, Grumpy?
You know that I can't, but it looks like there's more than 3 numbers up there. So I'm saying
I'm going to say there's 5 digits on there, Grumpy.
$11,299?
$11,299. And that's again, that's right behind the bench, or that's right near center ice. I'm just thinking on the first row, but I'm thinking $11,300.
My prediction is those tickets go unsold unless they drop prices.
I'm going to say you're right. And again, I appreciate Frank for sending those, but holy crap, I saw that. I almost croaked over and died when I saw that when I got off of work. I'm like, $11,300.
I just want to say one thing about the Palmieri overtime winner. That's a goal scorer goal.
For certain.
The fact that puck was bouncing a little bit and rolling a little bit made it even more special. Now, to me, Jari was terrible. He didn't get to the post, but still, that's a great shot. No denying it. The other ones, you're right. He had to have those other 3 shots. Those were weak.
And here's the thing, right? From a goal from that angle, I'm going to say that shot that Kyle Palmieri scored today would score on over the majority of goalies in the NHL, right? Because most times when they post up there against the corner, unless they're ready with their glove side hand up there, they're not making a save like that. And again, that was one where, hey, I had to rush and scramble there to the post, and that is a goal that's going to score on over 50% of the starting goalies in the NHL. So again, that is a goal scorer's goal for certain there in overtime. But the first 3 goals were complete gifts by Yari. And you have to feel like, hey, what does that do to his psyche, too? Because he's only played before this year. He only played 1 postseason game, I believe, Grumpy Old Man.
I think this was his first postseason game. I think they mentioned during the telecast this was his first postseason game. Same with Sorokin. But here's the thing. I have myself a little thought here. Is it possible, just possible, that he started growing the beard this week? And like we mentioned, maybe, Samson with the hair, Palmieri with the beard. Maybe. Hey, who knows? Maybe it's the beard. And if that's certainly the case, I say we definitely don't re-sign him unless Lou changes his facial hair policy going forward.
A no beard policy. I will tell you this. Last year he did play. I think it was not like technically the playoffs. It was like the play-in round. He did go ahead and have a game. I can't remember who the Penguins played in the play-in round, but he did have Montreal. He did have one game played there, I believe, in the 2019, 2020. And again, so he's relatively untested when it comes to postseason play. And you wonder what that does to his psyche, too. Again, goalies are finicky creatures. And again, they're really streaky when things are going well, and they see the ball like they see the puck like a beach ball. All is good and all is happy. And other times they're snake bit and they just can't catch a break. So you wonder if that starts to creep into his head, like, holy crap, I let in 2 goals, high glove side where I just don't know what I was doing, and one just snuck right through the pads. You wonder what type of effect that also takes there on Tristan Jarry.
Yeah,
hopefully a big one.
Yeah, I said I thought he was terrible. I thought he was terrible today. But that doesn't minimize, what the Islanders did as the game progressed. I mean, I think it helped them seeing how weak he was in net. But they were able to build on that. And I think that you saw Pittsburgh get deflated, particularly after the Pajot goal. I just thought you saw their whole level kind of went, and you wonder about the mental toughness. One thing I'm never going to question the mental toughness of the Islanders. I mean, I think we are a mentally tough squad.
Yeah.
But you worry about Pittsburgh, particularly, and that's how do the weak goals affect them going forward. I don't know if you noticed the shots they were trying to take on Sorokin. They were trying to take really bad angle shots up high. They did it about 4 or 5 times today. And even the jabronis on the podcast, on the telecast, were talking about it, how, he's trying to bounce it in off his helmet. But if you noticed, that's kind of caused Sorokin a little bit of issues in the past. Those really bad angle shots going up high on him. But he was up to the task today. He was fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will tell you this, Brock Nelson did have that goal, and it was funny, right? Before that goal happened, that was an outstanding deke by him, and he put it right there on Beauvillier's stick, and I'm like, holy crap, here's another goal. I'm like, that was an outstanding moment of brilliance there by Brock Nelson. He feeds it across the middle. He gets it on Beauvillier's stick. I think it hops over his stick. He wasn't able to get a clean shot off, but I mean, Jarry was nowhere in position. It was an excellent play by Brock Nelson. It's funny, later on that same exact shift, again, he throws the puck on net. It sneaks right through Jarry's body. But Brock Nelson, had a few moments there today for certain.
I thought he was solid defensively for the most part. They had chances, but just couldn't connect. And I'm worried about Anthony Beauvillier. 2 weeks ago, that's a goal for Anthony. Anthony Beauvillier has 3 or 4 goals today if it was 2 weeks ago. When he's super hot, he's putting everything in the net. So I'm just a little concerned about Anthony Beauvillier right now because 2 weeks ago, like I said, all those chances he had, he would have definitely potted those goals. But maybe we have a new playoff hero who's going to get real hot. I can't think of something with a beard. I'll have to think. I was just thinking about it now. In Kyle Palmieri,
the lumberjack. We'll just call him the lumberjack.
The bearded Beauvillier. Hey, let's put it like that. He's hot now, okay? I don't know.
Bearded Beauvillier.
It's not good. What can I say?
It's not good. You honestly, hey Grump, that's your homework assignment. Go ahead, go home, and come away with a good nickname for the lumberjack, the man Kyle Palmieri. Palm before the storm, as many people call him.
I expect Frank Kaplan to come up with a name that has beard in it for Palmieri.
You're about to call him Beauvillier again.
No.
It was a great game. Again, it makes me feel reassured that Jarry struggled so much. And again, we said it, you got to take it one game at a time in the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. And we have talked about it beforehand. Hey, if the Islanders are able to escape this division, it bodes well for them long-term, despite them being an older team. Not having teams outside of the division, not having played the Islanders, means that it is going to be tough to get acclimated to play against the Islanders style of hockey. When the Islanders play their style of hockey, when they don't try to play run and gun out there on the ice, they are a very, very tough team for anybody to compete with. And again, the numbers might not be gaudy, but when we play our style and we don't get caught up trying to play the Tampa Bay Lightning style or the Pittsburgh Penguins style or the Washington Capitals style, when we play what we do well, we're a very tough team to beat.
Without a doubt. Stylistically, we're tough to play against, and if we do get out of this division, I'm putting the card,
Look at you, Grumpy.
the house,
You got
the
to throw
buildings, the countries, everything's before the horse right here, okay? But if we are managed to get out of this division, we'll be a tough team to tangle with. That's what I will say.
Wow, Grump, are you hinting at Stanley Cup playoff implication, Stanley Cup final implication, Grump?
I'm just saying that I love the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that was the first thing I thought, even watching last night's game. Man, there's nothing better than the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, every game is great, and the first 2 games, 2 overtimes, I was watching a little bit of the Golden Knights in Minnesota. And man, that game was really good too. It was nothing when we started the podcast, and the whole thing was that Minnesota was 5-1-2 against Vegas this year. They're the only team that Vegas had a losing record against, which was interesting.
Wow. Oh, and I tell you, the playoffs are a different animal. They're a different breed. We've talked about it again. I don't think the Islanders were completely able to change the form that they've been playing towards the end of the regular season. But who's to say that this might not be a catalyst there? A few weak goals, and that Yari let in, and just a little bit more confidence creeps into the Islanders game. So there are definitely a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah, think about it. We won today, and we certainly didn't play our style for the most part or our best game, and we still come away with a W. That's big. Now, those are deflating for other teams. Now, of course, yes, I realize they didn't have Malkin, and they're basically a veteran squad, so they'll be able to bounce back. But when like I said, I picked the Islanders in 11. I didn't realize that Mike Sullivan was going to play with an empty net. I mean, because I definitely would have reassessed there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely grumpy old man. Well, I'm going to tell you this much, Grump. We're going to start getting to the calls, but I want to have one more talking point for you, Grumpy.
Okay.
And I'm going to let you ponder on this as I walk away briefly.
Where you going?
Grump, I got to make sure we got everything ready. We got everything logged. I'll make sure I go ahead and I'll hide my little camera like that. It'll pop up a maze. But, Grumpy, got one question for you. What do you think about Scott Mayfield's still struggles this year in the playoffs? He's a guy who hasn't been able to turn a new leaf. And again, I think that we see game in and game out. We saw it throughout the entire regular season. Now we're continuing to see it throughout the playoffs. Man, oh man, how much Devon Taves was able to cover up there for Scott Mayfield. And again, this might be putting, the carriage before the horse a little bit. He's on a very, very manageable contract, but is that guy that really we want on our team long term? Again, honestly, he's a bottom 6 guy. But the way he's been playing has been yikes bad. I know he laid, the big hit there on Sidney Crosby today, and everybody's, highlighting that there on Twitter. Oh, look at this hit. But I don't know. I mean, he lets Jeff Carter walk in out there without pressing and forcing the issue, and had a few bad turnovers here today. I mean, again, another game there from Scott Mayfield where he didn't play to what, we would hope Scott Mayfield would perform to.
Letty was the same thing, though, right? I mean, it's an interesting point you bring up. I thought that pairing is just not good. We've talked about it since the beginning of the year. I was really scared and worried about that pairing, and it's come to fruition. I hate being right all the time, but you're watching that, and it's like they don't fit together. And TJ mentions how, he's a bottom 6 defenseman. Well, that's fine. You need bottom 6 defensemen. You're going to see Noah Dobson move up. I mean, today I was a little bit disappointed that the last 5+ minutes of the third period, he didn't see any ice time. That's Barry once again falling into that thing of just falling in love with the veterans, regardless of how they're playing, and benching the young guy. I would much rather have him play through that instead of benching him. And then he came back, and I thought he was fine in overtime. It was just interesting. But if you're asking me if I'm going to protect Mayfield or Letty come expansion draft time, it's Mayfield. Remember, the whole thing about expansion draft is we need to lose salary. and we're only going to lose one guy. I want it to be somebody who makes money. If it's Nick Leddy, so be it. I mean, because very easily you could put Noah Dobson in your top 4 next year, slide Mayfield back down, and then find a left-handed defenseman, be it Bolduc or whoever, to come in to fill that spot. But, TJ, it's funny. While you were gone.
I heard. I was able to listen, Grumpy Old Man. And the thing is, again, I don't want to put the carriage before the horse. That being said, I've heard people pontificating that, 2 of the 3 of either Hickey, Mayfield, and Leddy are going to be going in some capacity. So
who the 2 make the most money? Those are the guys I'm moving.
So Hickey, you move Hickey and Leddy.
Absolutely. We need to cut salary. That's what this whole offseason. I don't even want to get too caught up in the offseason.
Let's not talk too much about the offseason. I'm just saying here, I was hoping that a week off essentially would allow Scott Mayfield to find some of the form that he's had the last 2 seasons. Because the last 2 years, Scott Mayfield has looked more than adequate, and he's played top 4 minutes. You know what I mean? I was hoping that time off would allow him to kind of reset a little bit and kind of get back to his style of game, to where he feels more confident out there on the ice, and he's not having so many issues there, and he's not a defensive liability. But as of right now, game 1, it doesn't look like that has helped enough yet.
That he still has the same defense partner, though. That's the issue. I mean, Leddy has been bad defensively as well. I mean, it's a team. It's a team, and they've not gelled as a team. They haven't all year. And that was my concern at the beginning of the year, and it's still my concern, and it's going to be a concern till the end of the season.
Well, gotcha, Grumpy Old Man. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to start opening up the phone lines, guys, and we're going to start also reading through some comments. Again, if you call in, just remember, if I don't pick up, that's because we've got somebody there on hold, and when I pick up, I want to put you on a brief hold so Grumpy and I can kind of finish our point, but I want to get to it here, Grumpy. Brett W. is saying Palmieri Mania is running wild, Grumpy.
It's running wild, brother. Palmieri Mania is running wild. Coming to an arena near you.
Hulk Hogan right there, Grumpy Old Man. And Michael O'Donnell is saying yes. Obviously very happy there about the Islanders win. Frank K chiming in saying, Palm before the storm. It's all about the beard. Sorokin has grown up quickly. Leddy and Mayfield suck. Second line was great. 4-minute power play was a mess.
Frank, spot on. Sorokin's the man from here on out, as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
ride that horse, baby.
Long term, if we're going to want success and longevity throughout the playoffs, our penalty kill is excellent, right? We have no issue at all with what we're doing on a penalty kill, none at all, right? When we give kudos, an excellent penalty kill is one of those things that Barry Trotz does not get kudos for enough. Does an outstanding job of making sure the penalty kill is fine-tuned and we're able to shut down teams that are top 5 in power play consistently in the NHL. So again, big kudos to Barry Trotz. Long term, we are going to need some production from our power play unit if we want to be successful long term in these playoffs. That's all I'm saying. And what is it going to take to ignite and spark the power play?
More talent, more shoot first, more mentality. I mean, the same things it's always been. I'm not changing it. Like I said, there's no shame in game because I'm always the same. Until we get more talent on that power play, it's going to be what it's going to be. We need to change the pass. We need more guys who are selfish, want to shoot the puck.
I want to ask you a little bit about what you thought of Matt Barzal's play today too, Grump. I know we didn't get a chance really to highlight and talk about it, which
they effectively shut him down. I think the mentality was, we're not going to let your best player beat us. And it certainly helps when you put Komarov out there on the wing with him because he's no threat. And he had 2-3 guys on him all the time. They were really cognizant of making sure that he didn't beat them. He didn't get frustrated, but then if you watch towards the end of the game, what was he? Just dumping it in, chipping it out of the zone, not being Matt Barzal. He's being the Barry Trotz. It's like he got neutered they took him to the dog pound. They had him neutered. We don't want you taking any chances out there. And that's the way he played today.
I won't even say it's that. I will tell you, he was effectively shut down today, completely shut down. Not
He
what you
got
like to
snipped,
see.
he got snipped by Barry.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Not what you want to see out of the best player on your team.
It's
The
not.
playoffs completely shut down by the Pittsburgh Penguins. And here's something that Islander fans we're going to watch in these playoffs, right? The second and the third line had outstanding games today, which is excellent. I've always told you when the third line plays the way they can, the best third line in all of hockey, grumpy old man, best third line in all of hockey. I will tell you this, though. Doesn't matter if we've got the best third line in all of hockey. If our first line's not generating or creating any type of offense, we are going to be struggling to create goals. So that's one of those things where it's like, hey, will Matt Barzal step up? Will we up? Will we? I mean, again, we've talked about it before. There's no point of beating a dead horse. He's only playing with one other line mate in Jordan Eberle. And he's playing with a guy who's, sitting back in our net there because he can't skate up and down the ice. He doesn't have the ability to make any type of offensive plays. Leo Komarov is not an offensive juggernaut. But that's one thing to look closely at is will Matt Barzal be able to put, certain sequences on his back and completely create and finish the play on his own? Because he's done that a few times in the regular season. It's beautiful. Again, those are few and far between because he's not a player who can do that on a consistent basis. But that's one of those things we're going to be watching as Islander fans.
He also didn't play a boatload of minutes today either, which I found interesting. Here's the thing. Barry's going to have to realize at some point in time, you're going to have to put someone who can – you can't put a black hole at left wing in the playoffs and expect your best player to perform. Pittsburgh knows, you know what? Who's the one guy who can beat us on this team? It's 13. We're going to make sure he doesn't beat us. If Kyle Palmieri or Tristan Jarry beats us, we're going to have to live with that. But we're not going to let 13 beat us. And that's certainly the approach they took today. And we've seen other teams do that too, right? You see that from Boston. Boston will not let Matt Barzal beat us.
To provide some context, the grumpy old man, I wouldn't say he didn't play a lot of minutes on ice. He did wind up logging 20 minutes and 22 seconds. Again, Jordan Eberle had more minutes on the ice there, and so did John Gabriel Pageau when you're talking about forwards. But here it is, right? We had talked about how, for the most part, Barry Trotz is a guy who rolls all four lines. And this is something that we can get excited about, Islander fans, that makes me happy. Oliver Wahlstrom during the regular season was not getting as many minutes as his other line mates on the third line, as the Kyle Palmieris, as the Jean-Gabriel Pageau. In today's game, grumpy old man, Oliver Wahlstrom, 19 minutes and 7 seconds. If that tells you again, hey, he's being rewarded, he should continue to play there what the rest of his line does. He's not in a situation where they're going to have training wheels, hopefully, with him approaching. You talked earlier about it when I temporarily left. Hey, Noah Dobson sat out for the last 5.5 minutes of regulation. Weren't a big fan of that. I can tell you one thing. I am happy that Oliver Wahlstrom seems to be getting the right appropriate amount of minutes, though.
Yeah, well, I guess he's doing those Barry things, where
through the body, he made sure to dump and chase, and I love the energy out of Oliver Wahlstrom today. I will tell you that much. Again, it didn't result in any points out there or it did result there in an assist. But again, I liked what I saw out of Oliver Wahlstrom here today.
He was okay today, but I didn't think he was special. That's all I'll say.
Think about this. He played more minutes than Anthony Beauvillier today. Played more minutes. So you don't see that very often. And that's the only reason I'm bringing it up is because Oliver Wahlstrom's not a guy who's usually up there in minutes there for forward groupings. And today, he's usually towards the bottom and tail end. So it was nice to see him getting more ice time today. And I thought he played well given the extra opportunity. Yeah.
I'm glad he's playing more minutes. I don't understand why he does some of the things he does. To me, I'd much rather if you're going to give a guy a whole lot of extra minutes, I'd rather see it during the regular season so he's ready come playoff time. The last thing you want to see is he's used to skating 13 minutes or 12 minutes a game. Now you're giving him 19, 20. Is he going to run out of gas in the playoffs? That's the last thing you want. But here's the thing. The more he's playing, the more chance we have of scoring. I will say that.
I do not disagree at all with that, grumpy old man. Getting back to hear some comments. Again, phone lines are open. Telephone number up in the top left corner, 318-608-2245. Jerry Springer there saying, loving the epic intro, boys. And then Matthew S. saying, this countdown, LOL. I wanted to make sure we gave us enough time to get situated before, so we changed up the intro a little bit. Maybe in the future we'll have it like a background of a different montage of Grumpy Old Man and myself. I'd like blurred out or something like that, so you can kind of barely see it. So at least it gives you some sort of visual aid. It's not just a black screen.
Or maybe you shouldn't have put it up for 5 minutes, like I said. Maybe you should have done what I said for a change, as opposed to you just dictating how everything's going to be run here.
Oh,
it's another thought for you.
Oh, goodness gracious. Scott Levy, they're saying, unfortunately, I missed the game. I was sleeping because I had to work over the nights there. I tried listening to the TV, but no luck. Be ready to go for game 2. Let's go Islanders forever. I'll tell you. I wouldn't say obviously, I think you missed the back and forth of today's game was crazy, right? It seems like as soon as, the Islanders took that 3-2 lead, it felt like less than a minute later, the Penguins were able to tie the game up, and you're like, holy crap. I mean, there's a twist and turns right now.
Yeah, and I didn't understand Pittsburgh. They were so good the first 2 periods, and it's like they took the foot off the gas in the third. They gave up that second goal, and it was like, uh-oh, they couldn't get it back, and then they gave up a third one. I mean, they were on their heels, and they scored 30-something seconds later, and then I thought they picked up their play the rest of the game. The rest of the period, but like I said, when it went to overtime, I hate to say it because I feel like I'm going to jinx us going forward. I had no doubts we were going to win that game, none. I probably was wishing it wasn't going to be Kyle Palmieri because then I have to listen to people talk shit about how good he is or how great a trade is based off one game.
I will tell you one thing. As soon as the Islanders are going to that narrative, obviously I'm pulling for the Islanders hard to win it. But as soon as Tristan Jarry led in that third week goal, I'm like, please, please, please. I need the Islanders. Whatever, I don't care. Whatever happens here the rest of the series, I need the Islanders to win today because I thought of like, hey, let's just make them all 3 stars, make a little photo edit, make a little joke about it. So obviously happy they did because it wouldn't have the same punch, right? If he was all 3 stars for the Islanders, if the Islanders lost in overtime. So again, very enthralled that the Islanders won there in regulation. Alexander saying this is interesting. Is Sorokin going to start, or is Varlamov? When Varlamov, is he going to start when he's healthy?
I ride the hot goalie. Period. End of sentence. End of story. I want Sorokin in net. I don't want Varlamov in net. I want Sorokin in net. This is what you've been building towards, where Sorokin's good enough where he can take over. He is more talented than Varlamov. He's able to make saves like he did today that Varlamov is not capable of making. That's what I want to see. And he was spectacular today at times. He kept us in the game. I mean, we're joking about Jarry being the first 3 stars. Sorokin was right up there. If you're doing actual stars, I guess you have to give Palmieri 1 for overtime goal, but Sorokin's number 2 without a doubt.
And number 3 could be any plethora of Islanders out there on the ice. Probably Jean-Gabriel Pageau.
Yeah, I go with Pageau. I thought he was excellent today too.
But yeah, I mean, if Palmieri's 1, Sorokin's a close second. If Sorokin's 1, Palmieri's a close second. I mean, it was an outstanding job by both of them today. I'm glad. I hope the playoff beard is going to reignite some of the Palmieri we've seen in the past. I told you, like when we originally traded for him, he's a guy who's got a really good wrist shot. And I thought, the second goal he had was a great exhibit there of that. When he has room, when he has time, he's really able to go ahead and pick those spots in those corners. I'm glad we're able to go ahead and execute on that. And hopefully he's able to build off that. You talk about getting the monkeys off, their backs. Hopefully this allows them like, hey, I've got 2 goals. I'm ready there for a hot start to the playoffs. We're a team where we've got a lot of streaky wingers. Kyle Palmieri's a streaky winger for the most part since joining us. Jordan Eberle's a streaky winger. Anthony Beauvillier's a streaky winger. We have a lot of streaky wingers on this team.
Yeah, and what gets overlooked was his aggressiveness in taking that puck away that led to that, to creating that chance. That's what we haven't seen from him, and I was really happy to see that tonight. Really happy.
Adrian says, hi, it's me, Adrian. Hey, Adrian, how are you?
Put Adrian back up. I want to save this. I really want to save this for if we win the cup, but I feel like saying, yo, Adrian, we did it. I felt like saying that. I
Grumpy,
once said if we won the cup, but
God, we've won one game. First
I
game.
know, but I'm excited, man. What can I tell you? I'm an Islander fan, bro. I want them to win so bad. And today's a game really we didn't deserve to win if you think about the overall. But I'm just so happy that we won. So there you go.
I feel like we're going to see a relatively happy and sunny demeanor if the Islanders make it out of the first round of the playoffs, because everything else is all playing with house money. I really think, I genuinely think, Grumpy Old Man, you had no expectations for this team heading into the playoffs. The way we'd ended the regular season and the teams, that we're going to have to play in this division, I don't think you say, hey, I expect us to make the Stanley Cup Finals. I expect us to win the Stanley Cup.
Now, TJ, you can tell everybody today, when I woke up today and I talked to you before the game, what did I tell you? Do you remember what I said to you today? Okay, I guess not. I said, for some reason, I just think the Islanders are going to win this series. And you're like, no, you can't. I said, if we would have been on the podcast last night, I was going to say that I felt we were going to win the series. I just started feeling it yesterday. Don't ask me why.
I think now that you mentioned that, I do briefly remember that, Grumpy Old Man. But again, you
belittled me. You ran me down like you usually do. But I had to tell you. So he's not nice. He's not nice. Let me tell you some people. He's not nice like he portrays himself to be. All right. He's fake and phony here. I'm real all the time. Not TJ.
Every single, twice a week for 2 to 3 hours, I'm able to put on a song and dance for the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. I've been doing a hell of a job with you know what, Grumpy? I'm quitting my day job and I'm headed to LA. I'm headed to Hollywood. I'm going to pick up a job there as an actor, Grumpy Old Man, because I've done a hell of a job of it.
Maybe you should be Yul Brynner if you go to be in Hollywood.
I will tell you, I will struggle with the lines if they do give them to me in opposite languages, kind of like DraftKings does. So they're going to have to give me the lines in English so I can just read them off like that. I'm still going to struggle with them if they're in English too, though.
Do you even know who Yul Brynner is?
No,
Yul
that's
Brynner.
why I completely avoided it.
He was in The King and I. Look it up when you get a chance. The King and I, Yul Brynner. That's all you have to do. Matter of fact, while I'm talking, sometime you can type something up. And when I see you laughing and smiling, then I'll know that you know who Yul Brynner is. That's who you would be if you went to Hollywood. So which is fine. But speaking of Hollywood, I was watching an old great movie musical early this week. And it was triggered. I'm real good. If I see somebody in a movie, I'm like, oh, hey, I remember them being in this even from a long time ago. I watched Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds. And at the beginning of the movie, there's a lady who's talking like at a Hollywood premiere. And I'm like, God, I've heard that voice before. I looked at her. I'm like, you know who that reminds me of? That reminds me of Aunt Harriet on the Batman television series with Adam West and Burt Ward in the middle 1960s. And sure enough, I looked it up. And wouldn't you know that was Aunt Harriet Cooper was in Singing in the Rain, which I just thought was fantastic.
Are you saying I'm like the King and I because he's bald?
Yes, Yul Brynner was the guy. Deborah Kerr was the female there. She was the actress. And yes, that's why I was saying I was comparing your hairline with Yul Brynner's. That's correct.
You couldn't have picked a better bald actor like Bruce Willis or somebody I could relate to. You're Yul Brynner. I don't know. I've never seen this movie, Grump. Come on now.
He's bald, just like you.
Oh, you couldn't pick like Samuel L. Jackson. There's a lot of good bald actors I could relate to or know, but I mean, Yul Brynner. Fair enough, Grumpy. We had to go in the way back machine in order to pull that one up, but I'm sure some listeners do appreciate it. We got a comment here from the Wicked 50 Cal who says there, oh man, Mayfield once again showing how much Taves carried that defense pair last year. He blows.
Yeah. I thought he made a couple of nice physical plays in this game, but his gap control on the cap and goal was not good. No. And like I said, but where's his pal Letty on that also? I mean, they don't fit as a team. They haven't all year. They still don't.
Got a comment here from Alexander saying, guys, I don't know if you saw the play where Crosby almost scored in overtime. If it wasn't for Bailey, that puck goes in.
I thought Bailey had a solid game today. He actually almost attempted to take a shot once or twice, which is out of the norm for him. But but I thought he was good in a couple of instances defensively. So, I mean, he did Josh Bailey things today. So, like I said, I'm not ripping Josh Bailey today.
Well,
Even though he wouldn't shoot on the power play when he had open again. And I realized I catch myself saying, shoot the effing puck, Bailey. I continually say that.
Well, here it is, right? I want to bring up this outstanding play. You're right. That if Josh Bailey does not make that play right there by getting, and that's a strong stick on the ice right there too, right?
Yeah.
One stick there, he's able to completely, the puck goes right up the shaft and goes ahead and leaves the play, right? I mean, that is an excellent play there by Josh Bailey, because if not, I mean, Sidney Crosby is walking into the crease on his own, and he's got a wide open side of the net to go ahead and score that on. Who knows if Sorokin's able to slide quick enough to stop that shot? That's an excellent job there. It's a good point there, Alexander, also. An excellent job there by Josh Bailey, stopping that would-be goal by Sidney Crosby.
Sorokin still makes that save.
Really?
Yes.
Man, oh man, Grumpy old.
Yes. The kid's sensational. Anything that includes athletic ability, he's going to do.
Fair enough.
Calder Trophy.
Was that
Conn Smythe Trophy?
Oh god.
Go Sorokin, go.
Oh goodness gracious! There. Frank K says Yari has some Matt Murray syndrome. Bad glove. Bad glove and syndrome.
With how many good goalies are out there every year, you figure Pittsburgh would be able to get somebody who was really good, and they just don't have them. I don't. And if they don't advance out of this round,
have a really good goalie. They shoot him out of town, and now he's one of the best goalies in the NHL. He's probably going to win the Vezina. They shoot him out of town. They gave him away from nothing to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, well, and I couldn't believe that either. I never understood the hate for him in Pittsburgh, honestly. And they just let him go. They thought they had the man in Murray, and he's gone within 2 years after that. And now they got Jari, who, I mean, there are a lot of good goalies out there for the taking, though. I don't know why they didn't get somebody better. When you lose Murray, you should at least try to get somebody just as good.
I'll tell you one thing. Murray's number, I mean, again, albeit he played with the Ottawa Senators this year. But man, oh man, did he have a rough year. A 3.38 goals against average with an 8.93 save percentage. Again, it wasn't much different from his last year there with Pittsburgh. So Murray was definitely not the answer there in Pittsburgh. Obviously, they thought he was going to have a little bit more there to show, but it wasn't. Again, I know he's a relatively young goalie, 26 years old. But, you think about it, they shoot out the goalie, the best goalie they've had in quite some time, who is, the best. I think he's a shoo-in to win the Vezina this season.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's for off season. I'm not talking about that now.
Alexander said Mayfield was awful today. I fault him for the captain and goal. Yes, yep. You, myself, and I'm sure most others do as well. John R. says Sorokin looked good in my opinion. Future looks bright.
Well, in net it does. That's for certain.
And here's the thing, right? In net and on a defensive side of the puck, you have never seen Grumpy Old Man and myself ever question the future and the way the organization's headed in that direction, because it is absolutely stout and it's loaded. The only thing we've ever questioned is what type of lineups we should throw out there to generate more offense and what we have in the pipeline to help out the lack of offensive creativity and acumen. Those are the two items right there. Those two items would propel us to being, hey, we're going to win the Stanley Cup on a year in, year out basis. I firmly believe that.
Or be highly competitive. We're in the running every year.
Where it's like we're looked up at the echelon of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Every single year, it's like the Islanders are a team we expect to finish in the top 5 every single season, and they're going to push it to the Stanley Cup finals year in and year out. Unless something crazy happens, where there's a plethora of injuries, that's a team where it's like at the beginning of the season, I could say the odds of them winning the Stanley Cup champion, or the Stanley Cup is very, very high.
Or that we're one of the group of favorites.
Yeah.
Because right now I don't see. I don't see us as in the group of favorites. Not currently. No.
If we've talked about it though. If we leave this division, and if Boston and Washington, and there's a lot of ifs here on this team, and I feel like Coach Tommy B right now, but there's a lot of ifs right now, Grumpy Old Man. If the Islanders win the series against the Penguins, the Boston Bruins and the Washington Capitals beat and batter the hell out of each other, I think it bodes well for us in Series 2. And again, we've talked about it. Exiting this division, I think we have the upper hand on most other teams just because we are a team where if you don't play us and you're not experienced against playing the Islanders style of hockey, you're going to struggle.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of ifs and buts and Casey's nuts in there. So we'll just leave it where it is for right now. It is only one game, but hey.
Mark A says, "Oh, baby, Palms." Paul Mary, absolutely. Frank K also said, "Letty sucked today, too."
Yep. That's why I'm exposing him come expansion draft time.
Michael M there says Barzal was bad from so many fans. Eberle and Komarov are just not cutting it. Neither drive to the net or get open.
Well, that's what happens when you're playing out there by yourself for the most part.
Michael M posts this, and I'm laughing my ass off. Perimeter Pete's and waiver Willies on Barzal's wings.
Right? Hey, Mike has been listening to this podcast for a long time.
Oh, my gosh.
And he knows now he's starting to get into the game. Perimeter Pete.
Mike's always been in the game.
Well, what I'm saying is Perimeter Pete. I use Perimeter Pete for a lot of those guys who just like to hang out along the boards. And waiver Willie, well, just insert name here, lollipop. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, they're saying we're going to put 2-3 guys on Barzal. And one thing he did not do today, he did not retaliate in any way, shape, or form, which he has done in the past, but he was ineffective. And that's what Pittsburgh wants.
Robin Stewart there says, "I can't believe all the criticism after the playoff win." No, I don't think we're being critical of the team. I think, and maybe other people online are being critical. I don't think we're being critical. I'm happy we won today. I think it was, again, a big help there by Yari. I feel confident, right? If you would have asked me a week ago, I wasn't really sure because the big unknown was, Pittsburgh's goalie and net. He comes out today and looks like he lays a goose egg for the majority of the game. You have to feel confident if you're the Islanders. Hey, throw the puck towards net, put it high glove side, and the chances of you scoring are quite high.
I'm a little disappointed that you have not commented on my shirt today.
What's up with the shirt, Grumpy? That's the Beatles shirt.
Yeah, this kind of, if you look at the pictures, this is like Sorokin making saves out there. Jumping all over the place. And I did, I wore this shirt for a reason. If the Islanders lost, it was going to be like a hard day's night. It was going to be the theme for the show. But instead, it's with a little help from my friends, thanks to my buddy Christian Jarry.
Oh, okay. See, okay. So that's what Mike M say. Apparently, TJ, it's Jerry. That's what Brendan says. I thought it was always pronounced Yari. That's how it's spelled, Yari.
I knew you were saying it wrong, but honestly, I don't care. You say everything wrong. So whatever. I just let you look like a fool. It makes me look better.
Jerry. His name is spelled Yari. I don't know. I always pronounce it Yari. What can I say? I apologize, Tristan Yari. Jerry Springer says, if the Islanders win the cup, grumpy old man won't know what to do with himself. He will have nothing to be grumpy over. I'll tell you one thing. If the Islanders win the Stanley Cup, and I could tell you this because the grumpy old man is a fan of Tom Brady. Oh, Tom Brady, save it, Grump. I don't want to hear it. Anyway, he's a fan of Tom Brady. He'll look at it. He'll be happy for about a week, and then he'll be already on to next year. Hey, what can we start doing to make sure next year we can win the Stanley Cup? Hey, he's like, he's like an addict like that. He's always thinking ahead of himself like that. He can never be content and satisfied. If you're an athlete, that's always great. But if you're some fans over here, it could come off as a little grumpy and cantankerous. That being said, if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup, I don't know what Grumpy's reaction would be like. I'm gonna sit over here. I'm just gonna have a smile. Maybe we just will smile at each other for about a good solid 45, 50 seconds, Grumpy, if the Islanders win the Stanley Cup. No words, just complete silence, just smiling like in the surreal moment of the Islanders have finally won the Stanley Cup.
No, I'll double down on what we need to do in the off season. That's what's going to happen because that's really not going to change, regardless of the results this year.
Ghost.
It's not going to change. But here's the thing: I'll just find something else to be grumpy about. No. That's my persona. What can I tell you?
Oh, goodness gracious. And the Marquet said, enough of the criticism. We played a very good second half of the game. I don't think we've been very critical at all.
I didn't think we were being critical at all either.
And then Jerry Springer said, Grumpy, how is that effing look, you jag? Talking about, I guess, Kyle Palmieri.
Played one good game. Yes, he did. One good game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, remember Tim Smith?
No.
Thank you very much. Look up Super Bowl 22. Tim Smith. Then look at the rest of his career. He had one good game. 220-something yards rushing for the Washington Redskins. After that, poof, disappeared.
Oh, stop, grumpy old man. I hope they're able to continue there on this path, and Kyle Palmieri is able to keep it up there. Mark A also says there, we out-hit the Penguins 2-1.
We were definitely more physical with them. That's how you have to play Pittsburgh, though. Can't let them skate around. You cannot let them do Pittsburgh things.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. When you're able to hit and throw a lot of body checks, it does wear a team down. It does make the defenses somewhat weary when they go towards the boards and they're working on, making those outlet passes. They turn their head a little quicker. They rush a little quicker because they don't want to be hit. Again, if you're able to continually hit and mash the other team's defense, it will go ahead and provide opportunities and silly mistakes by the Pittsburgh Penguins here in the series.
And over the course of the series, it wears the other defenseman down. That's why you do it.
Mark A also said Pitt could get worn down for certain.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's what you want to do with skill teams, without a doubt.
Alexander also said, dude, Keith Jones and AJ just kept saying Jerry played a great game and made fantastic saves. My God, how many praises can you give this guy? Yeah, I didn't see it.
He did make a lot. He made a number of good saves when they're just reaction saves. It's the ones where he's square up to a shooter that is like, yikes. I mean, he wasn't screened really on any of those shots. I'm sorry, he was bad today. I don't care what they said. He was bad today.
Willie Carr there says, love the Beatles shirt, Grump. I'm a huge Beatle fan.
Yep. See, I was hoping TJ was going to bring it up, but at least Willick is, with the game. Hey, let's be honest. The Beatles are a great band.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't like the Beatles? Seriously, who doesn't like the Beatles?
I don't think my wife likes the Beatles.
What's wrong with her? The warden doesn't like the Beatles, Grump.
The warden does not like the Beatles.
Oh.
She doesn't like anything, though. She's like Mikey from those Life cereal commercials.
Mikey? What do you mean? From a Life cereal commercial?
Give it to Mikey. He won't eat it. He won't eat anything. And then Mikey goes and eats it, and he liked it.
I think I remember. I remember the commercial you're talking about.
And just to stop everyone, she likes me too. Thank you. I'm just going to cut right to the chase on that.
I was about to say, because I could only see the comments there. Grumpy, she must not like you either. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. Brian P said, out to dinner with the woman. Just sending a shout out to TJ and the grumpy old man. Isles of Misery. Absolutely there. Thanks, Brian P, for stopping by and saying hello. Mark A said, we're sticking it to Grumpy.
I don't understand that.
Be a grump.
It sounds like Mark is going at me for I don't know what reason. I've been nothing but complimentary. I've been smiling the whole podcast. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, maybe that was early. Again, I'm starting off with the comments that are very early on, Grumpy. So maybe it came out with a little bit of a tumultuous outlook. I don't know, Grumpy. This is a while ago. We're now over an hour and 15 minutes in. Do I remember exactly what we were talking about there and how, what type of light we were shedding on it, an hour and a half ago? Probably not.
I don't think I said one negative thing about the Islanders today. Just Jari. I mean, he's the only one, I think, and he was terrible today. Let's be honest, right? If you do like in the old daily news, the hero and the GOAT, without a doubt, he was the GOAT for today. Without a doubt. And that doesn't mean greatest of all time, by the way. When did that stupid thing come into vogue? The GOAT, the GOAT, the GOAT. Now everybody uses it. I hate those little terms that people they figure they're bright, they create things. The GOAT. It's the greatest of all time. Don't say the GOAT. Okay, here's another one. Here's another one's taken hold in the last year. Run it back. It's just stupid. It's an idiotic thing.
Rewind it. Let me see it again.
You know what? Shut up. How about move on, jackasses? How about that?
Oh, goodness, Grumpy. Don't show your age too much here, grumpy old man. Anyway, Jerry Springer says, rolling on.
What's Ralph?
I don't. Oh, I'm gonna sound. God Almighty. I don't know exactly what that means, but anyway, Grumpy after Game 1. I love our chances. Grumpy before the postseason. The world is ending. The Islanders are Jags and Ham and Eggers, and every team in the East is gonna roll us in the playoffs. I love it, Jerry. Keep them honest. Keeping them honest.
Okay, all I'm going to say is I didn't realize once again that Mike Sullivan was going to play with an empty net the whole game. Because if they had even a goalie who was even average, we lose today.
Yeah. Well, again, like if you made the saves, again, he did. Okay. Tristan Jerry did make some good saves, but when the routine saves came his way, he wasn't able to execute on those. Again, if you were able to do that, I think we're looking at a different outcome, perhaps. That being said, we took Game 1, we took it by force. I'm happy we did. Feel confident going into Game 2. I mean, like you have to feel like what's the psyche look like for the Penguins, right? They let in some weaky goals. How does that change? The defense's perspective as well as the offense's perspective as well. It's like what we need to do to actually force our team to win games.
And to just touch base on Jerry's comment here, I never said the world was ending. First of all, I did say the Islanders are not all, but it's Matty and the Jags and Ham and Eggers for certain. And I didn't say every team in the East is going to roll us in the playoffs. I just felt they would all beat us. I don't believe I used the term would roll us.
Now, that does sound like something you'd say. But again, I'm not going to get caught up too much on the semantics. That is something I think you would say.
Know your facts, Jerry.
No, I love Jerry. Anyway, that being said, grumpy old man, moving right along here, talking about the save by Sorokin. That save was absurdly great. Brett Let's Go Islanders says, hey guys, great gritty win. They need to tighten up on their defense, but that's the result of putting the puck towards the net. Absolutely couldn't agree more, Brett. Couldn't agree more. You put the puck towards the net, crazy things happen in the playoffs. I will tell you this too. This is something we haven't talked about. How do you think the Pittsburgh Penguins feel? The Islanders, and again, when you put 3 goals in net against Ilya Sorokin or Varlamov, you would expect to beat the New York Islanders. That's not a team you're expecting to score a lot of goals against. Usually goals against average is, top 5 in the league on a consistent basis. And when you as a team score 3 goals against the Islanders, you expect to win that game. And to come away with a loss in overtime, you think to yourself, oh crap, we put 3 goals against the Islanders and we still lost.
Yeah. The whole thing is when you have a goalie who is that bad, if they had somebody else in net, they probably would have won that game, only with scoring 3 goals.
Fair enough.
I mean, I can't say if anyone says that Jari had a good game today, I don't know what game you're watching.
He had some moments where it looked good. I'm not going to admit that. But in the same token, when I see you let in 3 really weak goals, that's not a game where you hang your hat on and say, I'm happy with that day's of work. You made the outstanding saves, but the routine saves that the majority of goalies would make, you missed on. That is where you're kicking yourself because you put forth the effort. You made some of those outstanding saves, but the saves that should be routine, the can of corn type of plays out there in the field, you missed, right? It's like making an unbelievable snag at third base, throwing the ball and getting, the fastest guy out there on the team. But a dribbler comes your way and you completely botch the situation. And you let the guy get on there with an error. I mean, like that's what it's looking at. You can't go ahead and let those easy plays and those easy goals go in. Sorry.
You have to make the simple plays.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have to be spectacular all the time, but you have to make the simple plays, especially if you're a goalie. I mean, Grant Fuhr, who was a great goalie for Edmonton, he gave up 4 or 5 goals a game, but you know something? In the big situations, he came up really stout. And Tristan Jarry just didn't do that today. I mean, he was just bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to dwell on it anymore.
We keep talking about it. Let's keep moving on. No worries, grumpy old man. Michael M. there says, Grumpy is right. We were outplayed for the majority of the game. If they want to win this series, they can't come out like that on a consistent basis.
Yeah, we need to play Islander hockey. That's what we need to do. We need to play Islander hockey, which is limiting their scoring chances. We cannot get into fire engine hockey with them.
And Mark A also says we got better as the game went on. That is 100% right. We did get better as the game went on. Again, I think that's because we did start to play more Islander style hockey.
That's right. From when we scored the tying goal in the third period to me, that was the turning point, without a doubt. They scored that. Pittsburgh got deflated. They could do nothing offensively, really, the rest of the game. I mean, and we just we did what we do best. And honestly, when Nelson scored that goal, I thought the game was over. I didn't see how they were going to come back because we had stymied their attack. And then 31 seconds later, Mayfield lays off a little bit, and a nice shot, and now it's tied again.
Absolutely. Grumpy old man, we have a caller with us. Who do we have calling in?
D-Cut.
D-Cut, what's up, my friend?
What's up, boys? How you doing?
Doing well. The Founders win.
For sure. Three quick things, and I'll let you go. First of all, I know the last regular season game was Monday. We haven't spoken since. I just wanted to thank both of you for all the shows you did during the regular season. As TJ could attest to, you guys are supported very heavily in Isles misery, so I wanted to thank you guys. Let's hope this playoff run is nice and long so we can continue having shows after games. Second thing, as you know, I'm a little negative usually when it comes to the team, but what gives me a little hope is that third period sort of reminded me of last year playoffs in the bubble when we came at the Penguins with wave after wave after wave. I mean, the shots were like 13-6 or whatever, but we dominated that third period. Third thing, if you're the Penguins, you've lost 3 series in a row, and now you've lost to the Islanders 5 times in a row, 3 times in a row at home. It's got to be getting in your head a little bit. I think, obviously, every playoff game is huge. I think Game 2 is tremendous for Pittsburgh. If they come out and lose another heartbreaker like this, I think they may be done. And this is coming from someone who said Pittsburgh will win in 5. Thanks, guys. I'll speak to you next game. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you, D-Cut.
Yeah, I'm going to comment on that. Thanks, D-Cut, for the compliments, as always. If the Islanders win Game 2, this series is over. I'm going to tell you right now. That said, you realize historically the Islanders have done very, very well against the Penguins in the playoffs.
The last time I can think we lost was what, in 2015, 14, 15?
Yeah.
Was that the last time we lost to the Penguins in the postseason? Again,
I think it's the only time we've lost to Pittsburgh in the playoffs.
Really?
Throughout our history. I mean, I'll have to go back and double check, but I mean, I don't remember them ever beating us. I mean, I remember in 81-82 where Tonelli scores the tying goal, and then in overtime, we were down 3-1, and this was going on to our third consecutive cup. We were down 3-1 with like 10 minutes to go. And we wound up winning that game and winning that series in game. I think it was only 5 games back then. I don't remember. But for whatever reason, what my concern if I was Pittsburgh is, my God, we don't have a goalie who can stop a shot. That's the biggest concern. So maybe he goes with the backup next game.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, Casey DeSmith usually is the backup. I don't think he got injured or hurt or something. He wasn't skating today.
Okay, right, because I saw Legacy in there, and I'm like, if DeSmith is healthy, you have to ride him next game, right?
Well, here's the thing, right? You don't want to go ahead and say, hey, I know, you struggled or anything like that, and now we're going to go ahead and immediately go to the backup. You know what I mean? You want to hopefully allow him to get a little bit of confidence, right? Because they're thinking the same exact outlook. They want to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. They need their goalies to feel confident. Right now, Casey DeSmith is still listed there as day to day. So again, like they do have, I know Manny Legacy right now is the backup. If DeSmith isn't ready to go, sure, I think they go ahead and they still roll with what they've got out there. Grumpy old man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you're going to have to change something up. And this game was played to the style, for the most part, particularly early, the way that Pittsburgh wants a game to be played. And you still lost that game. That would be deflating to me. Sullivan has to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, what's the thing? What did we not accomplish that we wanted to? We had them up and down the ice. I mean, look at the shots at the end of the game. There was a high amount of shots. I don't remember I think both teams were in the 40s. I mean, that's not what you want as an Islander team for certain. But Pittsburgh certainly does, and we still beat them. So what's the thing that let you down the most? Who was your goaltending today?
Yeah, absolutely. We got another call in here, Grumpy old man. Who do we have with us today on the phone?
Hey, it's Phil. How's it going, guys?
Hey, Phil, how are you?
It is good. It is good. First off, I mean, Grumpy and I discussed this, but we hypothesized that the Samson element might come into play, and knock on wood, so far so good. So good to see, lose two big trade deadline acquisitions, and Pajot and Palmieri in back-to-back years carry the team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. That's right, Phil. You and I did discuss the beard. That's right.
Yeah. Second thing, and this probably drove Grumpy crazy too, but I mean, Pittsburgh obviously played a very clean game today, with the exception of a very obvious stick foul to the face. No holds, no interference, no nothing. Very clean game. Probably couldn't find a trip or two in there, even though they found some on the Islanders. But once again, 4-minute power play, Palmieri just being used in the completely wrong spot. Here you have two guys with world-class shots in Palmieri and Wahlstrom. Split them up. Put them on separate power plays. The net front guys should be Nelson on one unit, Pajot on the other unit. There's zero reason to me why Palmieri should be in that slot down low. It's just not working. And that's the type of thing that could hurt you in a series. The third thing, and probably the last thing, and I'll get off with you here, thank God they won this game in a game where 13 was non-existent, because Matt Barzal was bad. Yeah. And I know he has Leo Komarov on his line. Leo provided tremendous value today on the penalty kill, but probably not much else. But him and Pajot as a penalty killing unit against such a lethal PK makes it hard to take him out. Not that they have a second option for Leo anyways, but just if you're able to hold Pittsburgh's, obviously their vaunted power play off the board, that's something that could win you this series. But the good news going forward is we know Matt Barzal is much better than this. And if he could jump on the wagon and have a major effect, we might take this in 5. Getting ahead of ourselves here, we'll see what happens on Tuesday. But Matt Barzal is going to have to show up next game. Have a great night, guys.
Great. Thanks, Phil. I just love Phil. And I'm guilty of it too. We win a game and we're winning the Stanley Cup. And I'm so there also. I hate to say it, right?
Stanley Cup.
Because we didn't play particularly well. Matt Barzal, like I said, was invisible for the reason we discussed earlier. They made a conscious effort to shut him down today. And when you have a lollipop on one side and Everly, who's struggled recently on the other side, there's not much he can do. But on the positive side, he didn't negatively react to these circumstances. The power play, he's 100% right. Palmieri needs to be the trigger on one side, Wahlstrom on the other one. Separate those guys for certain. Go ahead, TJ.
I have 2 points from our last 2 callers, and I want to get to the point that D-Cut made that you and I had talked about off air that I think is important to bring up. And originally I was just kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way they think about this. They're a veteran-laden team. They can't be thinking about that. You wonder about the psyche it has on the Penguins. We talked about it. I know you said, even though they were able to bounce back quickly and immediately score and match the game right up, they don't look like a very strong mental team out there. You had mentioned that. And then when D-Cut made those few points with, hey, you know what I mean? We went ahead and we beat them 4 straight, and we just beat them again, in game 1 here. And if we beat them again in game 2, you wonder what that does to the psyche. I think that's all she wrote. And I think that's a good and valid point.
The one thing that Pittsburgh can look forward to is they're going to be getting Malcolm back. And that makes them way more difficult to deal with. It really does. To me, if he's healthy and comes back in game 2, that's a real X factor for them.
I do think it is. And I got one more point here because we do have a caller on the line, Grumpy Old Man. But before we bring him on, I got one more point. You mentioned it, Barzal, not great today. And here's the thing. Will we be able to see Matt Barzal carry the first line like he has done a few times in moments throughout the regular season? Obviously, without having a guy like Anders Lee, or without having a guy with real offensive acumen there as the first line left winger, he struggles there to produce offensively. And that's one thing we're going to have to focus on, right? Will he be able to show up? Will he be able to carry by himself like he has done many times throughout the regular season?
Yeah, I'll just give real quick to that. If teams go in with the express purpose of shutting him down, the answer is going to be no, because there's no outlets for him.
Gotcha. Well, grumpy old man, we're going to go ahead and bring in our caller here. Give me 1 second. But yeah, that's one of those items where you kind of think to yourself, okay, if he is able to have those moments of greatness where we've seen where there's almost highlight reel S type of goals, I really think that does it. That's icing on top of the cake. I don't think he can do it on a consistent basis, but if he's able to, produce like that every once in a while, I think that does help. Hopefully, a little bit of help will come there from Leo Komarov and Jordan Eberle. But who do we have on the line right now with us?
Hey, it's Mike. How are you guys?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
What's up, Mike?
Very good. Hi. Listen, a couple of things. I'll hang up and let you comment. I don't think enough has been said about the fact that with about 5 games left in the regular season, Barry moved Palmieri over to the right wing, his natural wing, and let the kid Wallstrom play the opposite wing. It seems like from that point on, Palmieri started to look better. And second, Grumpy, I know you're going to agree with this. The best part of that 4-minute power play in the second period was not having to listen to Butch Goring.
Yeah.
And that's it, guys. I'll hang up and say goodbye. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm not a super huge Keith Jones fan, but he's better than Butch at this point. He just is. I will say that. But our power play was terrible. I mean, and he's right. It's funny that Palmieri was unable to switch from the right side to the left, but Wallstrom's had no issues with it.
He played left wing there in the past, even back when you look at the Zanaheim days, right, Grumpy? I mean, again, those are many years in the past, but he's had experience there playing at the left wing spot. But you talk about the flexibility and how malleable Oliver Wahlstrom is. Again, I remember immediately when he did that, I had the same exact thought we did last year come playoff time, where Noah Dobson had to play his off defensive side because Johnny Boychuk couldn't go ahead and make the adjustment. I'll tell you one thing. It does make me feel more and more confident in Oliver Wahlstrom's ability. If you had any questions or doubts in this young man, he's playing, on the left wing spot, something doesn't really get a lot of experience and hadn't had a lot of experience doing here, thrust into that in the last 5 games of the regular season in the playoffs, and he's still performing and still producing. He's
I'm like, why not flip-flop him and Komarov now? Right? I mean, it could give you a chance to have your first line score, and Komarov is still in the lineup playing on the third line. I mean, he goes hard into the corners like Wallstrom does, and you still have Pajot and Palmieri over there.
I know I'm going to sound like Barry Trotz and a real freaking coach right here, Grumpy. You might not like my response, but it's working right now, and we're winning games. Don't switch what's not broken. I know you're going to freaking hate that response.
Okay. We won 1 game.
I know.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying if we have continued here's the thing, right? If we're winning games and they're by, the skin of our teeth, you're barely winning games. And, we get to a point where it's like, hey, the first line hasn't been able to generate any type of offense. That's when you can look to go ahead and change things up. But the third line is producing, right? If the third line is going to continue to produce, don't go ahead and break what's not broken.
Okay.
That's my point of view. And I know it's going to sound like a lot of coach talk and you hate that crap, but that's the way I look at it right now.
Yeah, eventually you're gonna have to have some type of reduction from your first line.
I agree. You won't see me disagree with that. And I think that's what I said. Like, right, is Barzal going to be able to do it all on his own like he has in the past, or not? So,
yeah, like I said, if you're saying for the first line to be good, Barzal has to do everything on his own. I'm going to tell you your first line isn't good enough then.
John P. there says Sorokin is getting a real-time invaluable playoff education. He can only get better. Great job. Absolutely.
Leave it to John to bring up education in the podcast.
Man of higher education himself. Absolutely, grumpy old man. And Scott Levy says, if Malkin plays in game 2, does he make a difference? He will come back sometime in the series. Obviously, the longer he's out, the better. Grump, I guess that's a good time to kind of talk and use that to annex into our next point. How much of an impact do you think Malkin would make if he's available there by game 2?
He's a huge impact for them. Why? Because it makes the whole lineup deeper. And he's tough to defend. I mean, right?
Malkin. I don't like Crosby. I hate Malkin. I think he's chippy as hell, but he is one of those players that piss me off with the way he plays, because he could be chippy. He could also sell and flop around, but in the same token, he's a bigger guy. He's that type of player. The type of player Malkin is pisses me off because of the way he plays. I'm sure it's the same. I get upset with when I watch Malcolm, when we play against Malcolm, like I'm sure some Islander fans get upset when we play Tom Wilson.
Like was just mentioned earlier, right? There was really not a whole lot of chippy play today. I mean, none at all, really.
Yep.
And the aforementioned, the high sticking penalty on Carter, I don't think that was intent to high stick. But Malcolm, without a doubt, plays that style game for certain.
Here's another point, too. When originally Jeff Carter got a 4-minute double minor, I'm like, what the hell? He got a 4-minute double minor for that? I had no idea Brock Nelson was bleeding. It looked innocent enough. I really didn't think it was that bad. I'm like, oh, Brock Nelson kind of went down hard for that. Like, I wonder why he was kind of like writhing in pain. Well, he's bleeding, cut open his chin. I had no idea the contact made that. I didn't think it had any type of malicious intent. So I thought we really got lucky and fortunate there with the 4-minute double minor power play.
I think he bladed to get some juice there.
Like he had the old razor blade, like Ric Flair turns around there. Oh, I'm bleeding.
Just a little bit, just enough on the chin. Oh, look, I'm bleeding. Look, see. I love when they do that. He's not the only one who does it. They all do it. Oh, look, and they try to squeeze out some blood. He bladed a little bit. He went down. Oh, you ever notice they always look at something else in wrestling, or the bad guy will do something crazy, so everyone's looking at him, and the guy blades. So that's when Nelson bladed today. Good for him. Smart move.
John Whitty says, help from Jerry.
Jari.
I don't want to call him Yari. That freaking name is spelled. I want to call him Yari. I know I'm bad at pronouncing names, but maybe I'm just going to call him Yari for the rest of the time. That overtime winner was magnificent. And also, John Whitty did go ahead and make sure he commented. I saw this earlier on, but I wanted to wait until we got to it. He said, how in the world was the game winner a gift, TJ? I call bowl. If I did say gift, I could just say, I could see how people argue. Anytime you score short side like that and you're not posted up correctly, there are always people who complain about it. That's the fact. I will say it was a great shot, but that's one where, hey, usually you're supposed to have that glove side so you can go ahead and make that save. But hey, he didn't have enough time to go ahead and post up there. So albeit that he let in 3 weak goals for certain earlier on in today's game. And if the overtime you want to say was an outstanding shot, it was an outstanding shot. He probably maybe would have wanted that one back too.
I think we mentioned that it was a goal scorer's goal for certain, particularly with the way the puck was bouncing like that. That said, though, Jari was not up against the post. It was a good shot, but it was a good shot. The other 3 were bad. I'm not getting into some battle over this. Jari left the whole damn net open really on that side, but it was still a really nice shot.
Yeah. And then Hunter Howard there says Mayfield sucks. Every time I saw him with the puck, he turned it over. Yeah.
Not true. Not every time.
Not every time, Grump. Just about.
Not get over every time.
John P. said, could Palmieri's beard be analogous to Samson's hair? Absolutely. I thought that was, I remember when Phil made that point, and I love it. Again, it just has to be. Grow that beard out, and he'll be producing sometimes 5 or 6 goals a game if he gets the beard long enough, Grump. Those are early predictions.
That's what I said. I mentioned that earlier today also. And one thing I think John is trying to use big words to stump TJ. And
I know somewhat of the big words. I can't read names, and anytime I'm reading something like a script like that, if I don't like the way it's written, I will struggle reading it because it's not my style. But I know how to read, Grump.
That is true. You do know some of the big words. You just don't know how to use them. So that's okay.
Ariel also says there, Pager didn't get hot last year until the playoffs. Maybe Lou looks for playoff production more than regular season production.
Well, okay. I don't even know how to respond to that. You don't know how a guy's going to react in the playoffs for your team until you're actually in it. So, and I don't know what Palmieri's playoff numbers are.
Well, again, like I look at it like this, he has performed here in the playoffs so far. Sometimes it does take players a while to gel. It's one game, so let's make sure we taper everything off expectation-wise. He did have an outstanding game today. Hopefully we see more of that to come. Look more fluid, just like the last caller said there, when he's able to play the more natural right wing position. So I think it is important to take note of that.
I have a prediction. With all this Palmieri love going on, if he has a bad game next thing, I'm going to absolutely shred him.
Oh, stop.
Just to make people, just to get people riled up.
Grump, we've got one more comment, but we have Lou Lamoriello on the line. Give me 1 second, Grumpy old man. There he says, Ariel also says Mayfield has to go. He's a liability.
Yeah, I don't think he's a top 4 defenseman, but he's certainly top 6. And if he's your 5 or 6 defenseman, you could do a lot worse than him. So I have no problems with him being here still.
Absolutely. Hey, you're live here with Teaching the Grumpy Old Man. Is this Lou from the landline?
This is Lou from the landline. Yes, it is.
Lou, I got a few questions for you. Number one being, how do you feel now that Kyle Palmieri is starting to produce a little bit and bring those playoff productions? I mean, do you feel like, hey, you feel vindicated? People like myself and Grumpy Old Man were critical there of the trade. I mean, what is your feeling now that, hey, he's starting to produce here in the playoffs? Lou Lamoriello, I want to kind of get your feedback on that.
Well, first thing first, I just want to, again, say it's a pleasure and privilege to speak with you, TJ and Grump, on the Islanders Never Go Bald podcast. But to answer your question, just simply look at the scoreboard and you'll get your
answer. Look at this. Go ahead. You got questions for Lou.
I knew that Lou was vindictive. Usually he's kind of nice to us when he comes on here. But all of a sudden he gets a win. He's kind of kissing our butts a little bit when he's losing, but all of a sudden he gets a win and now he's dumping on us like that. Lou, do you feel that you are a vindictive personality with the way you have attacked TJ and I's podcast today?
Again, Grump, like I said, it's a pleasure to speak with you, somebody of your expertise. As regard to vindictiveness, again, that's your opinion, and I respect that.
No, look at that, Grumpy old man. Lou Lamoriello taking the high road. Grump, now do you have any additional questions? I've got one more, but I want you to get one more question, Grump. I've got one last question here for Lou.
No, that's okay. I just think, it's nice how he said those were my words. He called the Islanders Never Say Die podcast something else.
The Islanders Never Say Bold podcast. I liked it. I thought it was funny.
And I just want to know, why he felt he had to use that terminology when I know he knows how to read. How come, I'm sure he's looking at the screen. I don't see the word bald in there anywhere.
Anyway, Grump, I'm not going to let you press him on that, Grump.
See, TJ's part of the media cartel.
So I apologize. Did I say Never Go Bald podcast? I apologize. It's what maybe people are telling me. It's one of those moments. So
one of those senior moments.
I misspoke.
No worries there, Lou Lamoriello. We'll have one last question. Again, the Islanders off to a good game 1, Lou Lamoriello. I've got a question. With the way we looked out there tonight, what are your expectations of how far we go in the playoffs? I mean, we had a pretty good game 1 out there. I mean, what do you think this team's going to do in the playoffs there, Lou Lamoriello?
Like I said, I've constructed this team to go on a run. At the same time, let's be in the moment and enjoy the moment. So game 1 goes to the Island, as they say.
Oh, Lou, I was hoping you're going to make some statement like we are destined to win the Stanley Cup playoffs. But as in typical Lou Lamoriello fashion, you take it one game at a time, just focused on the now. Very, very slow. Grump, any last questions here or comments there from Lou from the landline?
No. After I stumped Lou the last time he called in, I know he still hasn't fully recovered. That's why he was so vitriolic in our description of our podcast today. I don't blame him. It was a cheap shot by him, but I'm willing to let him go on that.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much, Lou, from the landline. I always appreciate you calling in. 2 minutes of pessimisticking.
Yes, again, the pleasure, the privilege is mine. And I do concede, Grump, that he did stump me last time. So tip the hat to you. Good evening. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thanks, there. 2 minutes of pessimisticking. Always appreciate the call for certain. Lou Lamoriello from the landline. I'm shocked he wasn't going ahead and looking too far ahead, but in typical Lou Lamoriello fashion, hey, he's taking it one game out of a time, and I love that, Grumpy.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised you even thought he would be looking more than one game at a time.
I was hoping maybe we could catch him slipping, to be quite frank, Grump, but I guess
no. He's slick on that. I have to lure him in. If I'm going to ask a bunch of questions to him, I have to set him up like I did last time. That's how you get it. You set him up, and he falls right into my web.
Oh gosh, I want to see now. Maybe Lou Lamoriello is going to have some questions for us next time. That would be quite odd there to flip.
Well, that's fine.
To see if he can fluster the grumpy old man. Moving right along throughout the comments, though, Grump. John Woody also said, congratulations to the White Whale on his first and what will be many NHL playoff wins.
Absolutely. 100% right on that.
Scott Levy there says, I see DeSmith playing in game 2. If he's healthy, I could definitely see that being the way they go.
If he's healthy, he must play.
Mm-hmm. Robin Stewart also says the second and third lines were most consistent here today. That is absolutely true.
100% agreement.
Grumpy, you just get little quick comments. That's fine now. And Robin Stewart also says we need better, cleaner breakouts.
Remember, yeah, it's easy to say that, but Pittsburgh is really effective on their forecheck. They really are. Sometimes I think it's a little bit. I mean, I think we saw it as the game went on. We were maybe slowing down a little bit in our end and let our guys move a little bit to generate those easier breakouts as the game went on. I thought that was a nice adjustment that we made.
Yeah, absolutely, Grumpy old man. Lou Rivera said, did number 13 play today or was he hurt? I'll tell you.
Well, they said he was banged up when he did drive the net and got hit by two guys and kind of crashed into the boards. They mentioned that he was in the tunnel for a while. I don't think he looked great today. I think that was – and I don't think it was necessarily because he was hurt. I thought it was really from the fact that they made a real effort to just limit him.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, and they did a good job of shutting him down. It's not something long-term that, the Islanders can't have him, as a non-factor, long-term if they want to be successful. He's got to pick it up too. He's got to find a way to go ahead and overcome that. He's been playing there with, again, the same exact rationale I use there for the team as well. He's been playing without Anders Lee now for the better half the year. He's been playing with Leo Komarov as his line mate. I know it's not suited there for him, but, you'd like to think that they have some sort of way that they could try to generate more offense there, playing more to Leo's strengths as well as Jordan Eberle's strengths there, and making sure Matt can go ahead and mesh and mesh well between those two.
It certainly wasn't his best game today.
No, absolutely not. Matthew C. there says, Grumpy, this is why Lou got Kyle Palmieri. Don't hate on him.
Okay. See, these are the type of comments that put me over the edge. It's one game. Let's pump the brakes. And as excited as I am that we did well today and he did well today, it's still only one game. And I feel better if it was somebody else in net that he beat like that. So
Robin Stewart said, hey, let's throw some dirt on the Islanders for 10 minutes and then talk about the Rangers for 2 hours. What the? Robin, I don't know what you're listening to. We don't talk about the Rangers like that. We did one little segment with Coach Conspiracy Corner with Coach Tommy Baffey about the Rangers and Islanders, might I add. And we haven't been throwing dirt on the Islanders today. I think we've been very even about the Islanders play here as of today.
That's when I let TJ and a guest dictate how the podcast is going to be run. That's what happens.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. Erica T said, Sorokin kept us in for 2 periods, then we found our game in the third.
A very astute observation. That's exactly what happened today. And the overtime. So let's make sure because once we went to OT, that game was over. I mean, didn't you feel confident when that goal went to OT? I honestly, when Nelson scored, I didn't think we were going overtime. But when we went to overtime, I just kept on thinking, Bobby Nystrom today. Who's going to be the one who scores the goal? Which guy is going to score the goal? That's how I felt today. And I'm just glad that Philadelphia is not in the playoffs. That's all I'm going to say. We're not playing.
How much you freaking hate Philadelphia, Grumpy.
And the fact that they beat us 3 times in overtime last year in the playoffs.
Yeah. And Matthew C. also said, no reason to take out Sorokin.
See, Matthew just redeemed himself after that first comment. He redeemed himself.
And then a Slinky YT there says, I think that's Slinky or with K's and Y's. I'm not sure. I'm going to mispronounce that. YT said, are you going to stream the Leafs and Habs? No. Maybe, again, like on the other channel we have there, which is called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, we talk more sports in general. So again, like as the playoffs start heating up, there we'll be talking more general NHL playoff news, as well as everything that's going on there, NBA, NFL, MLB, soccer, Champions League wise. That's good to find the content on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, not on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast, though.
I think he was asking if we were going to do it on this channel, just streaming the Leafs and Habs game, doing something on that.
No, unfortunately not here. And then Owen, it's an Islander channel, Grump. Owen Johnson said, "Let's go Islanders," and also says, "Hey, Grumpy, what do you think about Bailey today?"
I thought he was okay today. Nothing special. He missed I don't know how many chances to shoot the puck, or but he did his Bailey thing. I cursed at him only 2 or 3 times today, so I consider that a good game for Josh Bailey.
Oh, goodness. Always Yangry says, "So is the grumpy old man extremely less grumpy?"
I was less grumpy today without it. Islanders win a game, a playoff game, a game that really, if you think about it, if you look at the whole game as a whole, we didn't deserve to win. I felt we stole this one, really. And sometimes you have to do that, and we did it today. Your goalie and their goalie stole a game for you today. So good for us.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. A hot goalie can win playoff series all by themselves. Doesn't matter how the team is playing around them. If you've got a hot goalie, they could single-handedly will your team to victory. Matthew S. also said, "I've noticed Sorokin standing up taller on some shots, a la Brodeur."
Yeah, on some shots, but he is kind of who he is. And that's why, if you notice, they were going high on him for those bad angles, like I mentioned earlier, because that was a bugaboo for him earlier in the year where he really struggled with those. He's still a little bit today, but for the most part, he was better at that. So maybe, Korn and Greco have been working with him on that. Hey, let's make sure we're doing the little things when we come to post, and maybe that's paying benefit too. The kid's really good, though.
For certain he is. Again, you got to feel real confident how the future looks there. I mean, this is his first ever NHL playoff game. So excellent performance there by him. You have to love what it's shown there and what he displayed. And Frank K. also said, "I love Sorokin's Billy Smith moment."
Oh, I don't know. He must have taken a slash at somebody. That's all I could think.
Did you not see that, Grumpy?
That's right. When he tripped, what's his name, going around the back. Yeah, Billy Smith would have been way more aggressive. He probably would have jumped on him and cross-checked him in the face or something.
Oh, here you go, Grumpy.
I remember. Yeah, I remember now.
Well, I'll make sure we go ahead and show it there for some people that don't, Grumpy Old Man, because again, I know you didn't just remember it. I know there's gonna be some people at home there if you're watching this in post, just so you can go ahead and see it.
Watch this.
Let's go ahead and make sure we turn this off here. Oh. I'll be honest. I'm happy Gensel didn't get hurt, because the way, he just pokes that stick underneath. When you go and hit the boards like that, if your feet are in the wrong position, you could easily break bones, tear knees. So I'm happy there was no serious injury there by Gensel. But yeah, that was definitely a Billy Smith-esque type of moment. He was trying with the poke check and
that's some good stuff right there.
Stop.
Don't come around my net, Gensel. Gensel was hit hard once by Letty, once by Mayfield. They got tripped into the boards. Well, what do you do with skill teams? How do you have to play skill teams? You have to hit them, bang them, wear them down, get them off their game. And we did that today.
Absolutely. Alexander also said you can call Palmieri the bearded Santa Claus. Hey, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not opposed to that name if he continues to produce, because he's just going to be giving gifts and presents here to the Islanders. If he's able to continue to put up, I guess Santa Claus is bearded, though.
Alexander, you're better than
that. Grumpy old man with the high expectations. Oh, goodness. Moving right along, though. John Whitty also says Mayfield and Letty and Green will be out. Bolduc steps up there in the future.
You're not going to see all 3 of those guys go. Green will be gone without a doubt. Yeah. To me, I let Letty go. He makes too much money. And I keep Mayfield. I slide him down to play on the third pairing and move Dobson up. That's what I do.
Matthew S. said, I'm torn between Mayfield and Letty because both have been really bad defensively.
That's why finances dictate. You're talking about you're saving almost $4 million on the cap by letting Letty go or moving him or something. That has to be what you're looking. You have to improve the team in the offseason. You got to shed cap to improve the team. That's why you move the old guys.
Alexander, moments later, after I read the original comment, this is still an older one. He says, Kyle Palmieri clause. I'm not opposed to that one. I'm not opposed to Palmieri clause. It's a little, it's a little long to say and everything like that. It's not easy. I know for you, grumpy old man, you have to have him easy for you, but I'm not opposed to Kyle Palmieri clause.
No. You call whatever you want. I'm not calling that.
Dave P there says, who was the last rookie goalie to start the playoffs and go all the way to the cup? Was it Pat Dubois?
I don't know. I don't know.
Erica T said, we're great at penalty killing, including our own. Oh,
there you go. She's not, once again, not wrong. I mean, I'm just lucky we didn't get scored on when we had the man advantage. So that 4 minutes, I was worried.
Scott Levy there says Cam
Ward
with the Carolina Hurricanes. Boom. Scott Levy, big comment.
Gosh, remember Cam Ward? Holy crap.
Cam Ward, but I mean, he only retired 2 years ago. He was still.
I know, but it seems like he's been out of the league forever.
Huh. Really? No, I remember he bounced around. He was there with Carolina for a long time. Then he was with the Chicago Blackhawks for a bit. I mean, Cam Ward bounced all over the place.
He was really good the year they won the cup, though.
Toby O'Connor has a few questions or a few comments here. He says the power play was so off. I thought they would at least get one shot a minute. And then Toby O'Connor also says Wallstrom needs to be on the top line and says put Hickey on the wing.
No, unless it's preparing chicken wings for after the game, I'm going to say no to that. Wallstrom being on the top line, I'm 100% in agreement on that. And what was his first comment? Oh, the shots on goal.
Play. You thought you need to get, one shot a minute.
I got a text from the hockey troll from Cap's Chirp podcast.
Yeah, the
game
podcast.
And he asked me, he says, well, if you're not going to shoot the puck on the net or score any goals, maybe you could start hitting them so we can beat them the next round in the playoffs. So, obviously I would love to see us beat Pittsburgh and play Washington just so I could jam it up his butt.
No, jam up. Oh, man, I get it, Grumpy. Brian J says, hey, guys, the real question is, does Sorokin start game 2? Yes. Sorokin needs to start game 2. Don't take out the hot goalie. I've always been a big believer. Whoever's hot, roll the hand.
Yes, I want Sorokin playing.
Yep. And again, comments there. Frank K says 100%. Toby Connor says, yes, sir. And Matthew S. there says, you have to ride Sorokin. Absolutely. Deidre, I hope I pronounced that right. Deidre C there says first period bad, second period better, third period best. Took the body. Overall, not a great game.
Not a terrible game is what it said.
Oh, not a terrible game. Sorry.
I thought Pittsburgh dominated the second and the first for the most part. The third period by far, I thought we carried the play and then in overtime as well. And we did take the body. And it was not a bad game, and basically because we won. I think if we would have lost that game, we'd be having different talking points.
Yeah.
But a win, it heals all wounds.
Robin Stewart also said, did you see Sorokin's soccer save off his head? He even put the rebound in the corner. I
love Sorokin. I'm not going to say that he was planning on guiding that into the corner, though.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When they do, they kind of go ahead and move that right there. The same thing with headers. When it comes in soccer, they kind of go ahead and move their head in the angle so he can go ahead and put it to the corner.
I will say, think about where his rebound control was at the beginning of the year and where it is now. I think that really speaks volumes to his work ethic and wanting to get better, as well as the work that Pierre Greco and Mitch Korn have put in to make him a better goalie. I mean, I think you're seeing that. I mean, you got to remember, he was making great saves at the beginning of the year, but he was kicking everything right out into the slot, which was causing him problems. And you really don't see too much of that anymore. I mean, the kid's really improved.
Alexander says there, Murray was the reason Pittsburgh won the cup, and that's why they gave up on Fleury. But you guys are correct that, in my opinion, I think Murray's a top 10 goalie.
I don't think he is anymore. And, we're playing for Ottawa. What are you going to do? He was hurt last year, too. when he was in Pittsburgh, and that gave Jari a chance to kind of steal that job a little bit. And I don't know how old Murray is now, but he's got to be getting up there. He's got to be close to 30 as well.
Here's one of those items when I think about, Marc-Andre Fleury towards the end, when he was there in Pittsburgh. You say, oh, when they won a Stanley Cup, they had to rely there on Matt Martin there to win. They definitely did help him. I mean, he still played 15 games throughout that time period. He had a 924 save percentage and a 256 goals against average. And again, you look at his total body of work and his career in the playoffs, a 911 save percentage and a 258 goals against average, and a career of the playoffs where you've had over 138 different starts in the playoffs. That is pretty damn good and pretty consistent. That's one of those guys where you wonder long term if he's going to make the Hall of Fame.
If he wins another Stanley Cup, he will.
And you think about it, right? He's only won a cup 3 times, and he's won the Jennings Award. He's never won a Vezina. He's never won any of the big awards for himself. I think if he's able to go ahead and win a Vezina this year, and if he wins another Stanley Cup, I think a guy like him, he's likable. I think he might find his way and squeak his way into the Hall of Fame one time.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you can never underplay the likability factor, especially since it's voted on by sports writers.
Yes.
And if they like you, you might get the benefit of the doubt. But, hey, he's been a good goalie he's single-handed. I never forget the save he made in Game 7 against Detroit right at the end that cemented that victory for them. Without that save, maybe they don't win that cup. But I think if he does it with another team, without a doubt, he'll be right up there. I mean, how many – he's got almost 500 career wins too. I mean, come on.
He's almost got 500 career wins. And again, overall save percentage is good. So is goals against average, 3-time cup winner. You look at the individual accolades, not necessarily there. If he's able to go ahead and put a Vezina on, and I hope he wins the Vezina this year, right? When you look at this year, save percentage wise, he had a 928 and a goals against average of a 198. You won the Jennings this year. I would be shocked if he doesn't win the Vezina. I hope he wins the Vezina. Again, that's a guy who's a real nice guy, and I felt like in Pittsburgh, he always got the wrong end of the deal. I would have, again, our goalie situation is well solved. I'm not vying for us to go after a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury, but he would have been a guy, a few years ago, I would have loved to have on our team. I love a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury.
And I think something that kind of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit is, remember, Pittsburgh, when they were winning those cups, they were not known as a great defensive team. It was all about the offense for them. And I think that kind of hurt him a little bit, as well as being the number 1 pick in the draft. I think they have really, really big expectations. And, all right, it's true he was not the best goalie in the league every year. And maybe he give up a weak goal here or there. But, I mean, I never understood the hatred for him. I never did in Pittsburgh.
Same thing with Roberto Luongo. It's like those goalies that are on the cusp from being, hey, I'm the best goalie in the league to, I'm elite. I'm the elite tier status. You can't make the next jump to where I'm the dominant goalie in the NHL. It's like fan bases don't like those goalies for whatever reason.
Yeah, a lot of it's you have to win. I mean, that's what I think is important for a goalie. You have to win cups. I think it's really, really important.
And you wonder the frustration level that different organizations get when they have a goalie who is, supposed to be heralded as one of the top goalies in the league. They've got the offensive pieces they produce, and their goalie doesn't go ahead and will them the victory. You wonder how much that takes a toll there on the fan base and how upset they get. Because the same exact thing happened with Roberto Luongo, guy who's another borderline Hall of Fame caliber goalie in Vancouver. He was shooed out of town in a heartbeat when they could get rid of him. So,
yeah, they had their issue. They had Corey Schneider there as well.
Yeah.
And they
couldn't get too much into it, but I'm just thinking, I don't know. We got off on a tangent, Grump. I don't want to get too crazy because we got a few more comments. I want to cut you off, but Always Yanger also says, I would get a tattoo. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun. Damn it. 2 minutes pessimistic. He said, if the Islanders win a cup, I'm buying a Leo Komarov jersey. And Always Yanger said, I would get a tattoo of Komarov on my back if they win a Stanley Cup.
Neither one of those are happening for me.
Oh, goodness gracious, grumpy old man.
But that said, I'm not buying a Komarov jersey just because I'm not. But I won't get a tattoo because I'm a freaking weenie and I don't like people jamming needles into my skin.
Oh, fair enough, Grumpy. Fair enough. Alexander also says, looks like the old Matt Martin is back with one of those hits everything and one of those that hits everything and everyone.
We'll see. It was one game. I thought he was okay today. I didn't think he was anything special.
Brett W said, if the Islanders win the cup, Grumpy will have to wear a Bailey jersey next season. There's his reasoning to be grumpy.
If I had to wear a Josh Bailey jersey all year long, I'd cross out the Bailey and put on Sutter. I would probably definitely do that.
Oh, goodness. Too much Pestin Sticking also says, Grump, I love it when you wear the Clash shirts. Greatest band to me. Very underrated in the scope of music.
Okay, I had a Clash shirt on today. I had it on today. And I said, no. I said, I'm not going to wear the Clash shirt. I'm going to wear the Beatles. And I explained before why, because, from Hard Day's Night, if we lose, to Little Help from My Friend after watching Jari play. So that's why I put on the Beatles today. But I had that Clash shirt out, and I absolutely will wear it again. And they were really, really a good band. Really good band.
Oh, good. Jerry Springer also says here, did you guys notice how AJ's hair was neat today on national broadcasting and not on MSG? I'm good. I'm glad. Also, did not like watching AJ interview them praise Pittsburgh players. Also, will we get any Islanders broadcasting with Butch and Brennan? Or will it be, national/NHL broadcasting? Yeah, I don't think we get any there. Maybe we'll get one or two with Butch and Brennan. I'm not sure how it lays out. I know the majority of them are on national, if not all.
Everything is national from here on out. Brendan has the feel of a national broadcaster, just like John Forsland today was calling the Vegas game, and he's the Carolina announcer. They're both really good at their jobs. Not saying Butch isn't good at his job. I am going to hear the Butch hate. But that's why Keith Jones was there and not Butch. They try to team somebody else up, a different color guy, with the play-by-play guy. And AJ's hair did look a little better today. And I do believe it's a direct correlation with her being on NBC as opposed to Madison Square Garden networks.
Chuma Specimen Sticking also said, I loved the Daily News Heroes and GOAT rocking the old school.
And, I forget, I want to say it was Bill Gallo. I think Bill Gallo was and it was always before World Series games or after World Series games, the GOAT and the hero. And he put little goat horns and like a little hero, I think like with a little like a halo over their head for the GOAT and the hero. And he would draw characters of the players. It was great. Something you don't see anymore, right? Because newspapers are out. So, I realize you still have them, but still.
Scott Levy also says, and a Komarov jersey as well. Flip-flop every week between Bailey and Komarov. And we'll be able to see, the number and name better to hang it up behind him in front of you.
God, man, I don't know if I could do that.
No, goodness gracious.
I can't even get the Islander logo thing up in the background net. So.
Rusty Spooner says, we beat Schittsburg and Grumpy doesn't show his respect and wears a crappy Beatles shirt. The Islanders over Grumpy. Starting to think Grumpy is a closet Rangers fan.
I don't understand that at all. I think I've been nothing but complimentary today of the Islanders, and I've been ripping Pittsburgh and Jari all day. That's what I've been doing all day.
Your shirt. I don't know. I think like when he threw in like, hey, crappy Beatles shirt, I think he's just joking around.
I don't get the Beatles hatred either. I don't understand. He must be a Rolling Stones guy. They used to have that thing. It's either the Stones or the Beatles. I don't see why you couldn't like both. I like both. And I'm not a closet Rangers fan.
Alexander said also, if the Islanders win the cup, Grumpy Old Man and TJ have to wear a Leo Komarov jersey together. Okay, fair enough. I wouldn't mind doing that.
I'm not getting in a shirt with TJ.
I don't think we're fitting in a shirt. I don't want to be in a shirt like a double dual shirt or anything like that. Here we go. Jerry Springer. Oh, wow. This is a long one, Grumpy. How the hell do you guys not know what ROFL? It means rolling on the floor, laughing. And Grump, let's be honest, you were very negative. So were a lot of fans. but you heard it here first. I predict the Islanders in 5, and I disagree with TJ, and I think that Ilya let in 2 very soft goals. He should have back. However, he did make up for it with a few marvelous, beautiful saves. It would have been cool if he had, those softies too. Another thing I'll say too is Bailey and Beauvillier had a couple, I believe, of nice stops on the defensive side.
I think they also had a couple of good chances to score as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're asking me to know what ROFL means,
Grumpy doesn't have any social media. That's where I have to come into play. I really have to know what those acronyms mean. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, crap, I couldn't tell you what that was. I
thought LOL stood for lots of luck when I first saw LOL a long time ago. I didn't know it was laugh out loud. And was I critical that I think the Islanders were going to lose to Pittsburgh before the series started? Yes, I did. But hey, I'm honest. I come off clean like that, and I don't know what the rest of the comments said.
Yeah, we got here. I mean, like the rest of the comment just says that you heard it here first. There, a lot of fans are being negative, but he predicts the Islanders in 5.
Okay, I don't know. I think it's going to be a long series. I don't think Sorokin.
The Islanders win Game 2. I think the Islanders sweep the Penguins, or the Islanders beat them in 5. If the Islanders win Game 2, Penguins are deflated. The sails out of their wins, the wins out of their sails. I really think they have no chance. If the Penguins don't win Game 2, they're in trouble. The Islanders are an unbelievable team with home ice advantage and at home. So you go back home to the Coliseum, with 2 games being played there. I don't know. If I'm the Penguins, I'm worrying at that point.
As of Monday, capacity of the stadium goes from 25% to 50% in Pittsburgh, and I think that will help them. They plan on by Game 5 to have 100% capacity. What's the delay? What's the delay then? Did they think 5 days is going to make? I don't understand that logic. I couldn't tell you, Grumpy, but that's for the high-ups to discuss and not you and I. Alexander said 2013 was a lockout shortened season the last time besides the 14-15 year that we lost there to the Penguins. We lost in 6 games. Evgeny Nabokov was our star. I thought that was the one year that we played them and lost to them. Was that one year? Wasn't it? 2013 then. It wasn't 14-15. It was 2013. Oh, yeah, man. They're bringing up the names Brooks, Orpix, Chris Kunitz. Oh, goodness gracious. Last in the past, and Orpik was finished by then, too. Oh, man, you're not kidding. Ariel C. also says there, who's your favorite player, guys, other than Barzal? On the current team, I'm going to go with, well, here's the thing. I'm going to guarantee you know who I'm not going to pick. But I'm going to say I don't have a particular favorite, but I like the young guys, Dobson, Sorokin, Wahlstrom. I can't those are the guys. I like the young guys. You're on mute, TJ. You might want to just unmute yourself if you want. Oh, thanks, Grump. Yeah, I just did that. Yeah, if I'm picking one grumpy old man, I guess I'm going to go ahead and select their Dobson. I really like Dobson. I mean, good puck moving defenseman. He's got a little offensive acumen. I guess he's my favorite if I've got to pick one. Again, we really barely know those players. I mean, they're rookies, so we really don't know them. They're still young. They're still young guys. They haven't even molded who they are as individuals yet. But again, Barzy, probably the favorite player there on the team right now. And what I'll do, like I said, I'll weenie out on this, and I'll say my favorite goalie is going to be Sorokin. My favorite defenseman is Dobson, and my favorite winger is going to be Wahlstrom. There you go. Goodness gracious. Carlos C. said Uncle Leo was great. Grumpy, give him some credit. He wasn't great. He did do very well in the penalty kill. But he wasn't – okay, doing your job and being great are two different things. That's all I'll say. Yeah. He's a good penalty killer most of the time. He is. Mm-hmm. Patrick V there says, nice win. Finally, Palmieri shows up, but didn't like the first two periods, especially that first period. Then we decided to play Islander-style hockey. Good games, Pajot. Best trade we made in a long time. Keep it going, guys. Let's go, Islanders. He's right. Nice to see Palmieri finally show up. And he's right. The first two periods were not good. And then we played Islander hockey the rest of the way. And if we play like that and Pittsburgh plays, I just don't feel we can play Pittsburgh style like we did the first two periods today. And it'd be good news for us. But if we can play Islanders hockey and shut them down, keep everything from the outside, we'll be in good shape, without a doubt.
And then Michael B there says, hey guys, today was my daughter Sydney's christening, so I'm watching the game tonight on DVR, and I'll catch your show on the upload right after. I heard though AJ Malesko that 21 looked great today.
Yeah, he was really good. And Michael, congratulations on Sydney's christening. We forgive you for not listening to the podcast live, as well as not watching the game. No problem there at all. Your daughter absolutely comes first. So once again, congratulations.
Harry also says, I'm not loving on Palmieri. I still think the trade is below average, but it's nice to see Pajot get hot in the playoffs last year when we needed it, and Palmieri was hot tonight.
That's the type of player that Pajot is, though. I mean, he is a throwback Islander player, a blue-collar, do everything for the team guy. I mean, you listen to his interview with AJ Malesko today, and he just all he said was that what was the difference between this year and last year, and for his performance or how he was playing, and he said how much the guys in the room, the guys on the team. I realize he only played for Ottawa, but still, you always hear that from everyone, that the guys on the team make this a great team to play for. So, and there's something to be said for that, really is.
And then Matthew S. there says, Lou from the landline laughing and crying. And then Jerry Springer said, rolling on the floor laughing. Grumpy's feelings are actually hurt about Lou from the landline saying the Islanders never go bald podcast. Lighten up, you jag. Grumpy got butt hurt. No, Grumpy was trying to make a joke and it miserably landed. As soon as he was doing it, I'm like, holy shit. I even made sure to mention, I'm like, Grump, that joke's not hitting, Grumpy.
What joke wasn't hitting?
When you were trying to joke around with Lou Lamoriello on the landline.
Oh, whatever. No, I wasn't hurt by that.
I know you weren't, because I know I was about to say I know you really don't care what everybody says.
I care less.
I know you're trying to give him a hard time. I was like, it didn't resonate.
Yeah, I was trying to trigger a negative reaction from him. That's what I was trying to do.
Anyway, Frank K there says Talbot and Fleury are putting on a clinic today. Grump for the mayor of New York City, David D. Cutt, and we got to go ahead, and we have a Twitch there. It says, want to be famous? Buy followers and viewers. I thought you'd find that funny there, Grumpy. We never have Twitch comments.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, goodness.
This is like a Twitch, isn't it? Like that.
It's how people watch like gaming and everything like that, Grumpy old man.
I don't know anything about that.
Well, no worries. Grumpy.
Maybe you should Twitch us up, TJ. Get us twitched.
We already have a Twitch.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
We got one more question here before we kind of wrap things up here today, Grumpy. Right about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Christopher C. there says, should we fire the power play coach? I can tell you this. I led that thought process. Maybe that it was Scott Gomez's fault 2 years ago. It was not. It's the cast and crew and how we're using them. I will tell you this, though. We are using the players on our power play wrong at the moment. We should not have Wallstrom and Palmieri on the same line. And whoever's making the decision to run them there on the same power play unit should be held or should have some sort of culpability or responsibility for that.
Isn't that Jim Hiller?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, he's right. And one thing about Phil bringing that up, he's 100% right on that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Grumpy. We're here at the end of today's podcast and live stream, Grumpy old man. What else you have to say here, Grump? We're about 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Any comments to wrap things up today?
I mean, I don't think any Islander fan should be disappointed today. We didn't play our best game. We didn't play our game for the most part, and we still came away with the W. And some of the positives, once again, were, seeing Sorokin be so good and seeing the young players not look out of place playing today. But here's a negative. One negative. Did you see Peyton Manning is now doing a commercial for American Finance? What? It's like, dude, did you not save your money with all that money you made? I mean, the commercial looked like, I don't think it's a national commercial. Maybe it is, but it's like, how come you have to do an American Finance commercial, Peyton Manning?
Well, Grumpy, we are wrapping things up. I appreciate the end comments here, Grump. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to the podcast in the live stream. We do appreciate it very much so. Grumpy old man, thank you so much here for your time on today's podcast. And thank you, everybody who participated here to the live stream and podcast. We do appreciate it. Game 1 victory heading into Game 2 here upcoming. Grumpy old man, what are your predictions for Game 2 and 3 before our next podcast?
Well, I think we only have one podcast a game before our next podcast, correct? We go Tuesday.
I'm sorry. Tuesday. We'll have Tuesday. It'll be a game there held at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So there's only going to be one game, Grumpy. For Game 2, Tuesday, what's your prediction, Grump?
If Sorokin plays, we win. If Varlamov plays, we lose. And that'll make me go off on Barry. So I'm going to predict Varlamov in a loss. Even though
I think he rides a hot hand, Sorokin, and we win Tuesday.
That's what I'm hoping for also. But I also want to say you didn't even comment on my Peyton Manning observation. That's fine.
Thanks, Grump. We're not going to, but we're wrapping things up here today.
That's fine. I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Well, thank you so much, Grump. Thanks, everybody who listened here to the podcast and tuned in. Appreciate it there a lot. And thank you again, Grumpy Old Man.